The Medicine Sex and Misty Fairy Houses Fight 1. Bayan's eyes couldn't help but get emotional after the man said all those heartfelt words. A reunion of her parents. That's a goal she's been working hard towards since the very beginning. Lord, we came back to see, and now it's getting late, so it's about time we leave. There's still a lot of work waiting for me. Chu Ran didn't try to retain the woman after seeing the determined expression, making a smile. Then I will not delay you further if you have something to attend to. But do go see your grandfathers, especially the one at the Misty Fairy House. No matter what, he's still your grandfather. I know, said Bai Yin with an understanding of what he meant. I've stated my stance long ago. As long as I can find my mother, then I will forgive him. Since she's with my father now, I won't hold the past against him anymore. I know he's been regretting a lot, too, over what he did. In fact, the stubborn old grandfather had regretted his decision the day Heavenly went mad due to being separated from his wife by Ning. Unfortunately, remorse doesn't change the facts. Because of his decision and foolishness, Bai Yan's parents suffered for many years. Sure, the Demon Queen could forgive the grandfather that nearly ruined her family, but it doesn't change the fact that she's more inclined to favor her grandfather at the medicine sect. Mother, Di Ling Yin heard they're leaving already and tugged at the woman's sleeve. Are we going to see great-grandfather? It's my first time meeting them. Should I bring a gift? No, you're the best gift for them. Bai Yin smiled wholeheartedly and rubbed her daughter's head before giving the outside a strange look all of a sudden. Since the maid serving the Holy Lord was thrown out, her tears hadn't stopped flowing thus far. She's unwilling to accept this outcome and felt wronged. Suddenly, a figure in front caught her attention and caused the weeping female to stop. Uncle! Standing in front of him was a middle-aged man who had on a grim face. What's the matter? I worked so hard to arrange for you to be by the Lord's side. Did you do something to anger him? Otherwise, she wouldn't have left crying. The maid clenched her lips. Just now I saw that a woman had barged into the Lord's study room without announcement. So, I scolded her. I honestly didn't expect the Lord to explode at me and drive me out of the Holy Land. Uncle, what should I do? If I go back home like this, then Father will literally kill me for this. She's the most beautiful daughter of the family. Therefore, everyone had placed their hope onto herself. If she fails and return without results, the aftermath and consequences would be dire. What did you say? The middle-aged man's face sank. Zheng Cloud, are you stupid or something? This isn't your Zheng clan's home. If that woman can enter the Lord's study without notice, then that proves she is special. How can you be so foolish to scold someone like that? The maid sobbed harder and began to hiccup. But even if that's the case, the Lord shouldn't have exploded like that. How could he drive me out of the Holy Land for something so innocent? The middle-aged man didn't respond to her words right away. Instead, he got all quiet and whispered his following question. Describe the woman's appearance to me. I want to find out her identity. This way I can tell if there's still a way to salvage the situation. The Medicine Sex and Misty Fairy Houses Fight 2. The maid heavily bit her lips. She's reluctant to say, but answered truthfully anyways. The woman is very beautiful. That's all. The middle-aged man frowned and continued to ask. She's beautiful, a striking kind of beauty, especially when she's dressed in red. The air she has is overwhelmingly memorable. She also had 3 kids with her. One was about 6 years old, while the other 2 were about 2 years old. The maid did not see the expression made by her uncle as she explained, but he had literally turned green in horror. It's reported that the owner of the Holy Island loves to wear red all year round. What's more, she also has a child which should be around 6 as well by this year. On top of that, rumor has it the person has given birth to twins not too long ago. If going by all these clues, he could be almost certain this woman was the owner of the Holy Island. Zheng Yun, this time I can't save you. You better flee as soon as you can. The middle-aged man sneered. By the way, once you go back to your home, tell your mother I will no longer have anything to do with the Zheng clan. I do not want to be dragged down by someone else's mistake. One protects their own interest, each for themselves. Moreover, he's done enough for the Zheng clan thus far. They're already 3 generations apart, thus making them distant relatives at best. like bringing Zheng Yun into the Holy Land and getting her the post as the maid of the Holy Lord. That's already a favor he didn't need to do. Now that this distant niece of hers failed in winning the Holy Lord's heart, why should he continue to support such a girl or her family? Uncle. The maid became stupefied by the cruel reality and became flustered. What do you mean by that? The middle-aged man sneered some more. Do you know who you've offended? She's the strongest person in the human world. Others may not know this, but I've been following the Lord for many years. How can I not know her? Not only is her talent above everyone else's, she's also the wife of the king of the demons. Let's put it this way. If her husband summoned the horde of demons upon us, they could destroy the entire human world. Huffing to keep himself from losing composure, no, they actually don't need that many demons, just a small fraction is enough. They can literally turn the human world into a territory of the demon realm. Do you understand? His chest would rise up and down in strides due to the anger he felt inside. Honestly, the man regretted helping the Zheng clan from the hearts down at this point. The maid's body froze as she looked up in dismay, those eyes popping out of reflex. All of this, you are certain? Ho-ho, the middle-aged man sarcastically ticked his lips into a snarling smirk. When did I ever lie to you? No one has lived on the Holy Island for many years now. Not even the princess lives there. Do you know why? It's because the Holy Lord has gifted the island to her long ago. Only she's eligible to live there. The maid's face got pale like a ghost. Even the princess cannot live on the island. Only she can? Uncle, it can't be that the Lord really likes her. Like her? Indeed, the Lord really does like her, but as a daughter-in-law. Sadly, that person didn't have the young master in her eye, and the union fell apart and never came to fruition. Despite all that, the Lord still takes her as a daughter in his eye. That's how highly prized she is to everyone in the Holy Land. The middle-aged man knew the thought running through her distant niece's mind and wanted to snuff it out before it blew out of proportion. Zheng Yun's body turned to stone in that instant. Standing there with the breeze blowing against her body, the maid never felt so afraid in her entire life. In fact, her entire back had become drenched in sweat by this stage. The medicine sex and Misty Fairy House's fight. 3. As it so happens, it's precisely at this moment where the maid turned to face the palace grounds that Bai Yin and her kids came out of the door. Immediately, endless panic filled the maid's heart. In the face of such a grand person, who wouldn't be afraid? None in the Holy Land would ever dare provoke this individual, yet she, a lowly servant, did. So, when their line of sight met, Zheng Yun promptly turned tail and fled in the other direction. She only wants to get out of this nightmarish land and run home regardless of the consequences. Mother, isn't it the auntie maid who was around Grandpa Chu ran earlier? The pipsqueak asks innocently. Bai Yin looked over in the indicated direction and nodded slowly. Are we that terrible? Why did she see us and run like a fleeing dog? The girl pinches her lips in confusion. I'm so cute, and I don't eat people. Why is she scared of me? Bai Xiaochen also glanced over in that direction and answered instead. Someone made a mistake, so of course they will be scared. That's what you call a guilty consciousness, Ling Yan. Someone probably told her about Mother's identity. That's why she fled the moment she saw us. Pity. Mother never took her seriously. She didn't need to run to begin with. Let's go. Bai Yin understood what her boy was indicating at and patted her eldest head. We don't have time to waste on inconsequential people. Your grandfather is still waiting for us. Okay. The steam bun smiles widely with his teeth, showing, I wonder if granduncle is around in the medicine sect. I wonder if he's married yet. If not, I bet great-grandfather will grow anxious because of that. Bai Yan's eyes fell into a bit of trance. Looking back at things, if I hadn't met by Zhang Peng back then, would I have discovered my own background? Forming a warm smile at the impending reunion with her relatives, Bai Yan's mood immediately lightened up. Come, we're going home. The medicine sect was located atop of a high-standing mountain. Due to the high altitude and difficult route to reach this great power, it's not often that they get visitors. Fortunately, the person in charge of watching the entrance gate was a person from years ago. He only needed a glance to recognize Bai Yin, so no trouble occurred here. In fact, The person was so ecstatic that he ran ahead to inform the master of this place ahead of the family. Inside the main courtyard, Chang Feng was currently playing a game of tabletop chess with his in-law counterpart. No more. After Chief Wu Wei of the Misty Fairy House placed his last piece, the old Gramps shamelessly flipped the game board after seeing there's no more room for him to move. My mind is not calm today. I don't want to play anymore. We can continue tomorrow. Chief Wu Wei faintly chuckles. A loss is a loss. What excuse is there? So what if I lose a chess game? In the end, my granddaughter still chose to use my last name. In that respect, I already won. Chang Feng shot back with a grunt, his face full of pride. The medicine sects and Misty Fairy Houses fight. 5. My lord, my lord. Suddenly, a sound of joy came from the outside and caught everyone's attention. Originally, Chang Feng was still disgruntled and high face, but as soon as he saw who it was, his temper immediately subsided and made a wary look. My lord, the young miss is back. Making a startled face, the old grandfather and ruler of the medicine sect promptly jumped up. Is it Ninger, my daughter, or Yin Yin, my granddaughter? It's Miss Bai Yin. Miss Bai Yin is back, along with the little master. Wah. Not needing to tell him further, Chang Feng's figure instantly disappeared into a blur. He's running for the outside to receive his precious granddaughter and great-grandson. Even from afar, the old grandfather could see that dazzling red figure and adorable youngster. However, he didn't expect to find two other adorable kids walking alongside the pair. Yin Yin. Chang Feng flew into a joyous cry, the tears nearly falling out. It's been well over 2 years since the woman left this place. Therefore, it's no wonder the grandfather would be so emotional. Grandfather, uncle, Bai Yin smiled and warmly greeted her family members who arrived in quick succession. Grandpa, Grandma, you're also here. Jun Tianyu, Grandma, quietly wiped the tears coming off of her eyes at being addressed. You're back. Yes, I'm back, said Bai Yin with an emotional voice as well. Are all of you doing well? Yes, of course we're doing well, Yin Yin. There's no problem at all. Aside from your grandfather and grandpa constantly fighting, there's nothing out of the ordinary. As soon as the mistress of the Misty Fairy House said that, the entire air around the group dampened. Firstly, it was Chang Feng who flailed his hands around in the air, unsure of what to say as excuse for his behavior. Following second was Chief Wu Wei, who made an ashamed face at being ousted by his own wife. Great-grandfather, do you often fight? Bai Xiaoqun stepped forward and began lecturing his elders like a good adult. Fighting is not a good habit. If you continue to fight, then you will make mother angry. If she is angry, then I will be very upset. And if I'm upset, then bad things will happen. Chang Feng coughs awkwardly at the boy's antics. Misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding. Your grandpa Wu Wei and I are perfectly good. We're just playing around. I hope that's the case. The steam bun holds himself high and mighty as he nods. Chuckling at her eldest's humorous speech, Bai Yin ruffles her son's hair as compliment. Xiaoqun is right. We are family. We should care for each other and not fight. That's not a good example to make. If I learn of you two fighting again next time. She narrows her eyes in at the two grandpas and smiled meaningfully. I will go live at the Holy Land from now on. I do have an excellent relationship with my Shifus, although they are quite noisy at times, but they won't fight. Chang Feng and Chief Wu Wei's strength are both very strong. Even if they're joking around when sparring, they would inevitably make a mistake somewhere down the line and hurt each other. Therefore, the fighting must be stopped. Okay, I'll never fight this old thing again. I'll listen to my baby granddaughter. Chang Feng bellows out a hearty laugh and reassuringly says this. Chief Wu Wei immediately stared at his counterpart before turning to smile at his granddaughter in an appeasing manner. Of course, we will do as you wish, Yin Yin. If you don't want us fighting, then we will not fight anymore. The medicine sects and Misty Fairy Houses fight. 6. Isn't that better, great-grandfathers? Bai Xiaoqun raised a bright smile. You can't make mother angry, ah. Yes, great-grandfather here understands my good child. Chang Feng jovially laughs. You're always watching over your mother like a good son that you are. That is, of course, my mother gave birth to me and suffered so much. It's only right that I be filial to her. Looking at the little guy's young and lovely face, Bai Chongfeng's heart became warm and appeased. Yin Yin is so lucky to have a son like Xiaqin, so witty and clever that knows how to be good to their own parent. Unlike this Zhamping of mine, this boy's already so old, yet he's not getting a wife or child yet. Oh, just thinking of this is making me angry. Thinking up to here, the medicine lord promptly shot a stare back over to his son who's standing in the rear. What did I do now to provoke this old boy? The poor man was clueless as to why his old man would do this, and made an inexplicable face. Yin Yin, these two children are... Jun Tian, you being the only other female present, didn't miss the twins, unlike the male counterparts. She had long heard of Bai Yin giving birth to more children, so this wasn't hard to guess who they are. Grandma, this is my daughter and son, Ling Yin and Jin Tian. Go up to both of you. Go greet your great-grandfathers and grandmother. The other one, behind them sulking, is your granduncle. Hello, great-grandfathers, great-grandmother, and granduncle. Ling Yin and Jin Tian's voice were both very soft and adorable, letting all those who hear them melt away like a marshmallow. Jun Tian Yu was the most affected and nearly had a crying fit at her new great-grandchildren. Great-grandmother didn't prepare a proper gift since all of my good belongings are at home. In that case, why don't you two inherit the Misty Fairy house as my gift instead? Bai Chongfeng immediately shot a look to his in-law's shameless face. He's a gentleman, though a grumpy one, but that doesn't mean he won't compete with a woman of his age. Ling Yin, Jin Tian, don't listen to her. What's so fun about the Misty Fairy house anyways? It's better to stay at the medicine sect with me, since it's more fun. Jin Tian, the little glutton, had his thumb in his mouth as he replied, Is there delicious things? Yes, of course. Bai Chongfeng's eyes lit up with hope. I got a lot of delicious snacks in store for you. If you like, I can even invite the top chefs of the continent here. They can cook all sorts of delicious food for you, my dear child. Jun Tian Yu chuckled at the man's promise. Oh, Lord Chongfeng, did you forget my fairy house already employed the best chefs out there? What can you make here that the excellent cooks at my home can't? Plus, there are plenty of unique ingredients found only in the mountains of the fairy house. How can you compete with us? Ho ho. As long as these two little ones desire it, I can get anything I need. There's nothing I can't do for them. There's nothing one couldn't do if they put their minds to it. So what if the fairy house employed some legendary cooks? He could offer them his Dan pills as trade to come work here instead. He got plenty, and doesn't those people wouldn't be tempted? Great-grandfather, did you ask me for permission when trying to rob my little brother and sister? Bai Xiaqin's face got all black like a charcoal. Jin Tian must inherit the demon realm one day, so he must go back. Bai Chongfeng looked to the steam bun in shock. Didn't your father name you the crown prince? Why are you throwing the demon realm on your little brother? What are you going to do then? Of course I'm going to travel the world with Ling Yin. Bai Xiaqin cocks his chin high, a proud declaration. Dream on if anyone thinks I'm going to be a demon king. I only need mother and my sister. I don't want no demon realm dragging me down. It's better for Jin Tian to shoulder this responsibility. Return to the lawn house. 1. Bai Chongfeng's mind flashed with an idea. If the demon realm is under little Jin Tian's control, then my medicine sect can. Yet before the old Gramps could speak his mind, the steam bun had already caught onto the old fox and got alarmed. No, great-grandfather, you can't look at me. I won't do it. I need to take my sister out on a journey around the world. I don't have time to manage the medicine sect. Having said that, he turned his attention over to Chief Wu Wei and his wife. The same is true of the fairy house. Don't throw them over my head. Making an embarrassed face at being called out, Chief Wu Wei deflates and understood his own sneaky fox was dead before birth. However, that doesn't mean there's no alternatives. Placing his fist to the mouth for a cough to clear his throat, the fairy lord was a clever one. Then how about Ling Yin? She's here too. Or, don't even think about my sister. I won't let you have her. Bai Xiaqin hurriedly pulled the pipsqueak behind his back into a protective stance, his eyes nervous like those old Gramps would snatch her away. Grandfather, Grandpa, you can seek my uncles to help, can you not? I know Uncle Zhamping and Uncle Sun Huan is capable enough. One said, Bai Yin shoots a grinning look at the only uncle present in the rear. She's repaying the debt of him, trying to throw the medicine sect over her own head from way back. Note: Sun Huan is Heavenly's younger brother, the womanizer. By Zhangpeng's face, instantly a shade of white. It's not easy for me to lose the burden of the medicine sect. How did it end up over my head again? A humph. Zhangpeng promptly coughs to get their attention. Father, you also know my ability. I'm only interested in training myself. If the medicine sect falls on my hand, it will be ruined sooner or later. I believe it's best to wait for Yin Yin to give us a new heir again down the road. Chief Wu Wei frowns and cuts in. How can one be enough? My fairy house also needs one. No matter what, I can't rely on my second son to carry the banner. Aside from womanizing, he's good for nothing else. At least Zhangpeng is obsessed with growing himself. Meanwhile, Sun Huan only knows how to flirt with those females flocking around himself day and night. Immediately, Bai Yin recalled back to the handsome yet flirtatious picture of that second uncle from her father's side of the family. Their first meeting was of Sun Huan trying to hit on herself, and ended up making a fool of himself in the end. At least Uncle Sun Huan isn't out making trouble everywhere. If he is, then that would be troublesome. Then that's decided. Bai Chong Feng spoke with a sigh of relief. Yin Yin, you and Di Cong need to work harder and give us some more children. That will solve all the problems we have. I'll do my best. Bai Yin gets flushed red from embarrassment. Why does it feel like these two are treating their respective powers like it's a hot potato needing to be tossed away? Bai Xiaoqin didn't object to the proposal in this case. For the steam bun, so long as he and his little sister didn't get affected, then that's good. As for everyone else, well, they could handle the hot potato all they like. Yin Yin, have you visited the Holy Land yet? Bai Chongfeng turns and suddenly asks this. Bai Yin nodded, softly replied, I just came over from that side. I also need to visit the Lu Hua Kingdom afterwards to meet everyone at the Lawn House. It's unfortunate, but I only have a limited amount of time here. She still needs to find Di Cong. Therefore, it's the most she could do. Undoubtedly, Bai Chongfeng and the rest were slightly disappointed by the poor news. They want to spend more time with Bai Yin, but they also knew she had a lot of work on hand and couldn't stay in one place for long. Yin Yin, if you got work to do, then don't mind us. Your grandfather and grandpa are perfectly fine the way they are. Jun Tian, you being the sensible grandmother, decides to lighten the mood. But if you have some time to spare, then do visit the fairy house. I know Elder Zhongnan and Zhongbei misses you a lot too. Return to the lawn house too. Bai Yan's heart quivered with emotions as she smiled. I'll go back and have a look at them for sure. Zhongnan and Zhongbei's relationship may not be as strong as her 3 shifas from the Holy Land, but they are genuine and still her Shifu. What's more, the love they gave couldn't be more authentic. She felt it, truly felt it like a parent raising a child kind of truth. For that, she would never forget them. We should go now. There's still a lot of places we must visit. Jun Tianyu's eyes are a bit red as this grandmother grasped the woman's hand. She's reluctant to separate from her granddaughter after such a short reunion. Chief Wu Wei saw this and immediately went over to his wife's side. He understood the pain this was causing and tightly hugged that shoulder so she would let go. No words would be comforting, so he didn't speak. Oh right, Bai Yin suddenly remembered an important message she had to pass on. My father has found my mother. They are together at this point. The couple, who was initially still feeling sad, promptly froze in their hug. Instantly, a look of joy filled their faces. Is what you said true? Yun Feng found your mother? How come they didn't come home together? Flashing a spark of gloom in her eyes, Bai Yin didn't want to worry them. He is in a place that has a seal. For the time being, they can't leave. But don't worry, he and my mother will return together. Ha ha! Laughing with tears flowing down his face, Chief Wu Wei kept nodding his head. That's good, that's good. As long as he is safe, then I can't ask for anything more. That year I did the stupidest thing possible and nearly ruined Yin Feng. Now that when Yin Feng was safe and sound, the father felt the burden lifting from his shoulder. Jun Tianyu also felt relieved and secretly wiped the tears from the corner of her eye. She's a mother. To be able to know her son was happy was something she always wanted. Yin Yin, you are really the lucky star of our fairy house. Since you appeared, we've not only got news of Ning or your mother, they're also reunited. I'm so happy I can't begin to describe my happiness. Oh yes, did you know our two families have all reached the celestial rank? The celestial rank for a cultivator may not be much elsewhere, but in the human world, it's the pinnacle of power. Bai Yin would like to continue explaining her father's situation, but upon further thought and the sensitivity of Heavenly's existence, she decides to hold it in. It's best for the man to explain it himself when the time comes. Grandfather, Grandpa, Uncle, Grandma, it's time for us to go. The Demon Queen gets a bit emotional as she glanced over her relatives. I believe a time will come where we're all reunited again. Please wait for that day. Jun Tian, Yu quickly nodded in agreement. She's very proud of this granddaughter and never questioned her ability to achieve anything in life. Then turning to her uncle Bai Zhanpeng, Bai Yan's eyes grew naughty. Uncle, I know you are not getting any younger, so I hope the next time I return, you will have an aunt waiting for me. Bai Zhanpeng's face turned to stone. I will try. Bai Chong Feng snorts and sounded very displeased. You've been saying that for so long. You can't keep fooling us anymore. I'm giving you a final deadline. If you can't get a wife before Xiaochen gets one, then I will stuff the medicine sect over your head. Father, you're really going too far. Bai Zhanpeng grits his clattering teeth in horror. Just now, when Bai Chongfeng mentioned that he would let Bai Yan's children take over, he honest to God thought he was safe. When did his freedom become so frail and pricey? Return to the lawn house. 3. Shut up. Wait until you bring back a wife, then we can talk. Until then, you as a man that doesn't have a wife or child have no right to talk. Bai Chongfeng huffs and puffs and was ready to blow his son apart. Bai Zhanpeng couldn't talk back. Instead, he turns to Bai Yin for help using those pleading eyes. Yet, rather than speaking up for her uncle, Bai Yin acts like she didn't see him and chuckled. That's a good arrangement. That way we won't have to bother my children in the future. The medicine sect will depend on you, uncle. Hearing this, Bai Zhanpeng's face turned green with despair. This girl thinks I can't find a woman home? No matter, Xiaochen will take another decade before he gets a wife. I still have plenty of time. How hard can it be to fall in love? Let's go then, children. After giving her final farewell, Bai Yin led the way with her 3 kids for the next location. We're going to the Luhua Kingdom. Since Bai Yin first appeared in the Holy Land, the news of her return has spread like wildfire. Of the most shocked and happiest would have to be the Beast Tamer sect's leader Yu Feng, who swore fealty to the steam bun way back. You're saying Mrs. Bai Yin and her son is back? Yes, my lord. We got credible confirmation that they say her heading into the Holy Land. Right now, her current projection should be the medicine sect with the latest information we have. The person below respectfully reported. Yu Feng slowly sat back down on his chair after he jumped up earlier, his chest thumping uncontrollably with excitement. Have Elder Lei go seek an audience with Mrs. Bai Yin on our behalf. No. I better go in person instead. After all, she and her son is no longer the same anymore. Back then in the palace ground, he didn't know Bai Yan's identity and merely swore fealty to Bai Xiaochen due to the glass dragon submitting to the boy. However, with more and more news returning of her grand feat over the years, he understood it's not only her son that's incredible and part of the prophecy, but she too was a woman of legendary proportion, like being the granddaughter of the medicine sect and fairy house, like her husband being the ruler of the demon realm. Without a doubt, he's absolutely grateful that the destined child in the prophecy wasn't Nangong Lin. I wonder if those of the Bai House and Crown Prince's Manor were to be alive today, would they regret their decisions knowing her identity? Luhua Kingdom. Like always, the bustling noise from the tea shops and local vendors didn't change. It's just as lively as Bai Yin remembered while walking through memory lanes. However, right as she was about to come before the estate that she had in this kingdom, mainly kept in order by her subordinate Hualuo of the flower brothel, a loud commotion caught her ears from the side. It's a loud, screeching cry of pain from the manor next to her own, accompanied then by a scolding voice of a middle-aged man chasing a round ball of flesh through the front door. Stinking brat, you really grown now. How dare you tease girls in open daylight on the streets? I will definitely break your legs today. Return to the lawn house, for Wang Daxiu angrily chased his son out from the inside with a whipping stick in hand. He's showing the brat what it means to be a human being. In response, the chubby repeatedly jumped and rolled at the pain on his butt. He's screaming like a banshee, which soon caused the passerby on the street to look over. Suddenly, Wang Daxiu's whipping action stopped, his face slowly looking up to make a surprised face at the woman standing at the neighboring door. "Mr. Wang, it's been a long time." Bai Yin greets the former neighbors with a friendly smile. Even after several years, these two are still like this and unable to control their temper and attitude. "Boss!" Wang Xiaoping the chubby exclaims in joy after seeing the steam bun's figure. He's all tears and sobs all over that squealy face. "Boss, you are finally back." "Woohoo, my father wants to kill me. You must save me." Bai Shachen looked to his friend who's leaking snot all over. Immediately, his expression sank. "Xiaoping, did you make your father angry again?" I didn't do much. I only teased a young lady on the street bit. I didn't touch her or anything, really." The chubby cries and defends himself. "Wang Xiaoping, it is wrong to tease a little girl. You must change this bad habit of yours. Otherwise, no one will want to be your wife later." The way he speaks, the steam bun, sounds like he's a small adult already and knows better. Wang Daqiu's heart instantly sighed at this image. Look at how sensible other people's children are, and look at his own. How could there be a comparison? He would be lucky if this darn brat didn't send him to an early grave. "Mr. Daqiu, how come you are here in the Luhua Kingdom and not at the fairy house?" Bai Yin didn't pay heed to the kid's conversation and spoke with her neighbor instead. Making a friendly smile, the man understood why she would ask such a question. "Actually, I chose to come live here. Staying at the fairy house to act as the gatekeeper is simply not suitable for me anymore after experiencing the freedom on the outside. That's why I brought my kids with me and moved back here." Bai Yin raised an eyebrow. "That's good to hear. I thought you were wronged by the fairy house and left." "Wronged? How is that possible, Mrs. Bai Yin? After they learned of my connection with you and Xiachen, everyone treats me with the utmost respect and wouldn't think about crossing me." Wang Daqiu proudly cocks his head up like a damn peacock. Like father, like son. The chubby immediately shot his father a remark to bring him back to earth. "If it weren't for me being friends with boss, would you even have the opportunity to know Sister Bai Yin?" Wang Daqiu's prideful face instantly disappeared over his son's call-out. Going green, the man shot a fierce stare at the chubby for warning. And sure enough, it worked and sent the kid packing to hide behind by Xiachen for cover. "Boss, this lovely little sister is..." Suddenly, Wang Xiaoping noticed the tiny pipsqueak standing next to Bai Yin. His eyes lit up at the sight of the adorableness. On the other hand, Bai Xiachen's face went black. "Xiaoping, I'm warning you. She's my little sister, so you better not have any ideas about her. Otherwise, I will break your leg." "Ha! If she's your little sister, then she's my little sister. How can I have ideas about my little sister?" The chubby pats his chest and spoke with reassurance. "Don't worry. I will do my utmost to protect our sister." First shooting his friend a look, then assessing that chubbiness, the steam bun puckers his lip to the side and commented, "Don't assume my sister is weak just because of her age. She is likely stronger than you, so if there's danger, she will probably have to protect you instead." Return to the lawn house, 5. "How is that possible?" Wang Xiaoping made a disbelieving face. "Your sister is still so young. How could she protect me?" Di-Ling Yan's beamed with naughty light after that remark. With a grinning face, she caught up to the chubby spot and reached out to grab his hand. All smiles at the physical contact. "Boss, your little sister is trying to be friends with me." His painful. From the surface, the pipsqueak's hand doesn't appear strong or threatening, but the grip she performed on the chubby was on a level he never experienced. It's crushing his bone and causing the boy to shout and tear up. "Chubby brother, how come you are so frail?" Di-Ling Yan loosens her tiny hand and spoke with glee in those eyes. "Even I am stronger than you." Rubbing his hand like an injured rabbit, the chubby showed confusion and fear at the girl's innocent appearance. This was especially true when the pipsqueak started to swing her body left and right. It's alarming and caused him to jolt backwards. Wang Daqiu was equally as shocked, This little girl is only 2 years old at best, right? A 2 years old have this much power, as expected of Bai Yan's daughter. Haha. Wang Dachio snickers a grin at his own son, that face taking joy in the disaster befalling the chubby. How is that? I like to see you go tease girls again. You think you can tease just anyone? Better let you learn the hard way before it's too late. The chubby puffs his cheeks up like a pumpkin over the remark. Is this even my old man? How can he be so happy that his son is being taught a lesson? Mr. Dachio, I'm going to visit the lawn house right now. If someone from the flower brothel visits, could you pass on a message for me to have them gather at my manor until my return? Okay. Wang Dachio nodded. During this period, they've often sent people over to clean your estate. I'm sure one of them will be coming later today. Bai Yin smiled with warmth and sighed. Thank you. Then I'll leave the matter to you. Xiaoqun, Ling Yin, Jin Tian, come, we're going now. Having said that, she turned for the lawn house in the other direction. The lawn house, compared with the fall of a few years ago, have long transformed into a new light. Countless strong people would visit just so they could have a chance to make a connection with the three great powers through their hands. However, this family never thought about doing that, hence their refusal to entertain these individuals and turn a blind eye. Unfortunately, those hopeful souls didn't understand this fact and continued to pester the lawn house. As a result, Old Lord Lon was forced to stay inside his home for a period of time. Only then did the stampede of visitors quench for a while. Nevertheless, the number of visitors continued to block the doors of the estate. This was the startling picture that welcomed Bai Yin when she arrived outside to the long lines. Mother, are these relatives of the lawn house? Why haven't I met them before? Bai Xiaoqun rubs his nose and asked in bewilderment. I suspect they are here seeking an audience with them. Bai Yin shrugged. Xiaoqun, look after your siblings while we're here. Okay. The steam bun was afraid of them hurting her sister, so he immediately pulled the pipsqueak closer while leaving the little glutton to their mother. Hey, don't cut in line. It's then a person yelled in scolding tone while they walked over. Do you not see us all waiting in line? If you want to meet Lord Lon, then wait like the rest of us in the back. Bai Yin ignored this rude man and continued forward. She had no reason to entertain these strangers. Return to the lawn house 6. Bai Xiaoqun's eyebrow gently formed a frown at the voice, but since he saw Bai Yin didn't pay the guy any heed, he didn't either and continued to follow. Hey, I'm talking to you. Did you hear that? What's wrong with you? The young man in line saw that he's being ignored and spoke again with more vigor in his angry voice. However, right as he's about to call Bai Yin out some more, the guards of the lawn house noticed the commotion and promptly came over. Lady Bai Yin, you're back. The guard was full of excitement that he nearly stuttered in his words. Do you need me to inform the housemaster? No, I'll just go in on my own. Bai Yin dismissively shakes her head and walked in without turning around. The young man stared blankly at the woman in red, without noticing she had already gone inside. He's stiff and awkward when asking the doorman. This brother, just now that lady. Which lady of the lawn house is she? The guard looked back at the youth, his face unfriendly to say the least. What do you think? Lady Bai Yin? How many Bai Yin was there in the lawn house? The youth's face got palish white, his teeth beginning to clatter due to the intense fear filling his veins. Haha, aside from the adopted daughter of the lawn house, who else would I address so politely? You really got some nerve. How dare you behave rudely before her ladyship? I bet no one in the entire land dares to do what you just did. The youth went numb as he collapsed to the ground. Mrs. Lan Yu's adopted daughter, the disciple of the Holy Land's elders, the granddaughter of the medicine sect and fairy house. God, I dare to have the lawn house's lady go to the back and line up? Others are coming to their senses by then. With sympathetic eyes toward the youth, they wanted to both snicker and laugh at the same time. Thank goodness we didn't speak up earlier, otherwise we will be in the same shoe as him. He would be lucky if he's not hated by the lawn house. The youth's face was getting whiter and whiter after understanding the blunder he's incurred. Not daring to stay any longer, he quickly climbs up from the ground and fled with the tail behind his legs. Gar brother, when will old Lord Lon be willing to meet guests? Only after that fleeing figure disappeared from view did a person ask. Oh, our housemaster is feeling unwell, so we're not meeting guests. Unwell? Why did a cultivator become so frail? Who you kidding? But no one dared to question the doorman's word and continued. That's all right. We can keep waiting here until old Lord Lon is well and willing to meet us. Don't mind us, Mr. Guard. We'll be fine right here. These people are all famous individuals on these parts, respected and strong in their own rights. Yet in front of a lowly doorman, they had no choice but to keep a friendly attitude without looking weak. As the old saying goes, once a person rises, all the cronies beneath them gets it too. Lawn House Inner Courtyard. Di Ling Yan's bright little eyes curiously scanned the place with shining stars flashing from within. Mother, is this great-grandfather Lan's home? Yes. Bai Yin warmly caresses her daughter's hair. This is where grandmother Lan Yu grew it from. I was adopted by her during my childhood and was greatly loved. Her side of the family, too, they're all wonderful people who wouldn't yield to power and evil. During my darkest time, they're the ones who stood by my side, so don't forget this bond. That said, a strong, powerful emotion swirls out from within those eyes. Bai Yin couldn't stop staring at the familiar grounds that gave her such good memories. The visitors won. Cousin, you are back. A cry of surprise came from the front. When Bai Yin looked up, she's suddenly welcomed by that woman wearing her iconic light blue dress and rushing over. She's all smiles and sweet like a wonderful apple. Compared with a few years ago, today's Lan Xiaoyan was more beautiful and mature, giving off a genuine air of beauty with posture. Big Bai. It's exactly in the moment where Bai Yin wanted to open her mouth, another familiar voice cuts in from the side. Stunned due to how unexpected this was, Bai Yin had to take a second to shift her sight over to that young white figure. He has a beautiful, handsome face. Like the girl, the young man was also dyed with excitement as he strolled over. Wenru, why is this guy at the lawn house? Using the momentary stupor due to his own entry, Wenru, the guy who lost to Bai Yin in a contest all those years ago, quickly came up and made a grieved face. He's all sad and pitiful like a abandoned pet who needs comfort from his mistress. Big Bai, you and Little Bai left for so many years. Why didn't you come back sooner? I've been so lonely without company. Looking at the boy's silly yet lovable face, Bai Yin smirked in amusement as she rubbed her own chin in thought. Wenru, shouldn't you be explaining to me on why you're here first? When did you become so familiar with the lawn house? Rubbing his nose shyly, the guy shot a peek over to Lan Xiaoyan before answering. Well, isn't Xiaoyan your cousin? Since you left, I've been watching over the lawn house for you. This way I can also know the first moment you come back. Don't you know how hard it is to keep track of your whereabouts? Is that right? Bai Yan's grin deepens greatly as her sight shifted between the two like she's seeing candy in a jar. Why do I feel like you're out for something else instead? Hearing this, Wenru immediately lowered his head in embarrassment because he got caught. Indeed, he's here for Lan Xiaoyan. After his first meeting with this frank and kind girl, he's been captivated by her free-spirited personality. It's just that some words mustn't be spoken aloud, otherwise even the friendship would be gone. Cousin, you misunderstood Sir Wenru. Lan Xiaoyan hooks her arms around Bai Yan's. He came on behalf of the flower brothel. There's no other meaning. Bai Yin and Bai Xiaochen shot each other a look due to this behavior. When did she begin to defend for others? Big Bai, Wenru's clear, clean eyes turns to the twins. This must be the twins mentioned by Xiaoyan before. Oh my, they're so lovely. Only you and your husband can produce such fine children. He reached out his hand and pinched the twins' cheek. Ling Yin was very curious at this handsome young man. However, her twin brother Jean Tian was more upset due to being chubbier. Uncle, I'm already fatter than my sister and brother. If you keep pinching my cheek, then I will grow even fatter. Jean Tian protests unhappily. The visitors, too. In reality, Jean Tian wasn't considered chubby at all. His body was small and could be lifted up by one hand. However, he had baby fat on his face that never faded. Therefore, he appeared more chubby than he really was. Xiaoyan, who did you say just came back? Old Lord Lan and others came running after hearing the news. There's a long line behind the old grandpa due to the commotion, but none were more emotional than the old madam with her crutch in hand. She's choking for words as the tears swelled outward. Cousin, Lan Xiaoling and Lan Xiaoyan were full of joy. They are Bai Yan's two male cousin and was just as happy to see their lucky star. And Zaichim, you're all back. With great happiness of her own, Bai Yan felt so warmed inside at the family gathered before herself. Grandfather, grandmother, big cousin, second cousin, I'm back. How come Uncle and Anne is missing? Oh, that. Don't worry, Yin Yin. My father is accompanying my mother to her side of the family. I bet they would be turning in their stomachs if they knew you were coming back during their visit. Lan Xiaoyan explains gleefully and gives the woman another hug. It's been more than 2 years since Bai Yin left the human world. You rascal, why didn't you tell us in advance that you were coming back? Old Lord Lan huffs a grunt despite being equally as excited. He just couldn't keep his old habits away and puts on a stubborn front. If you had given us notice, I would have had the servants prepare everything and remove those outside the door. They didn't try to block you, did they? Toward these unwelcome door knockers, all of the family members present were resentful and disliked the attention. They've been harassed on multiple occasions already, so staying inside was their only recourse. Speaking of which, I wanted to ask this myself. Bai Yan's mood seems to get serious. Do all those people come to the lawn house every day? The old Gramps sighed. That's already considered small. Before was the entire street being flooded. I couldn't do anything, so I and the rest of the family hid ourselves inside the home. Only then did some of them lose the idea of seeing us. Bai Yan's frown grew deeper as a result. She had previously let loose her relationship with the lawn house, so they would rise and not be picked on again. But if it's going to affect their lives, then what point was there? Grandfather, next time don't hold back and drive them away. It doesn't matter if you throw them out or use a broom. Bai Yin sneered with contempt at those people who wants to use her family. Taken aback for a bit, old Lord Lan's voice sounded hesitant. Is that okay? Wouldn't it affect the medicine sect's reputation? What if people start saying we are using your connection to bully the weak? What of it? This land has always been about the strong. Bai Yin doesn't hold back. Since the lawn house is at the top, then it's only normal we behave as such. Why should we care about what others think when they have nothing to do with us? In the future, let the public know that a visitation slip must be sent beforehand. And if they don't get a reply, that's a rejection on your part. The visitors 3, old Lord Lan got quiet there. He's lived for so long, yet didn't understand that simple fact. On this piece of land, the strong holds the truth, and the weak can only submit. Since their lawn house has the support of the medicine sect, what should they be afraid of? Of course, if it's only with the lawn house, then this old grandfather would have driven them away without a second of hesitation. But this wasn't. What if their actions brought a bad name to Bai Yin and those close to her? That wasn't an outcome he wanted to become a reality. Big cousin, second cousin, you will need to take charge of the lawn house in the future. If Grandpa gets too worried and can't decide, both of you make it for him instead. Bai Yin smiles reassuringly. Our lawn house will never need to rely on others to dictate our actions from now on. The eyes of the Lan brothers were beaming. They had long wanted to drive those annoying pests away, so this permission was a genuine blessing. Seriously, it's bad enough they're stopping them from going outside like usual. It's even worse when they try to dump their daughters into their hands like some sort of gift. It's insane. Bai Yin then turns back to her grandfather, old Lord Lan. Grandfather, from my recollection, you were never one to do things so wishy-washy. Why are you distorting your own standards now? Is it because of me? In that case, I'm telling you that you need to fear nothing. No one can make me or any of us do what they want. It will only be us dictating others now and into the future. Indeed, old Lord Lan was worrying about too many things before he would dare make a stand before the royal family despite having no backing. And what did he do now? He's bending his own standards after gaining status and power. If that's not irony, then what else was it? In addition, you have to remember grandfather. Bai Yan's expression grew serious. Standing behind you isn't the medicine sect, but me. I do not need to rely on anyone else to protect others. I alone am enough to make this land tremble. No matter what happens, I will always stand behind you and the rest of the family. If others have an opinion, then they can take it up with me in the demon realm. I like to see them cross over to see me if they dare. After that proud proclamation, Bai Yan's figure was powerful and reliable, giving off a dominating air akin to her own husband's. Feeling emotional at the support, old Lord Lan quickly nodded. I understand. I've been foolish for no real reason. From now on, I won't lower my standards for the sake of others. I will only do what we like. That's right. Bai Yin smiles right into her eye after hearing what she wanted. Grandfather, your current strength is also at the celestial rank. It's time you take out the air of being a supreme being in these lands. I do not want someone to mistake the Lan House as an easy target for no apparent reason other than being quiet. Having your lives affect like this is silly and unreasonable. If I had known my exposure would cause such trouble for all of you, then I would have warned the world loud and clear from the very beginning. When she refined the divine goddamn pills, she had divided it among her family and friends. One of them was old Lord Lan, who got a share for the first batch. Ha! The old Gramps cheerfully laughed a few years ago. He wouldn't even dream about becoming one of the strongest beings on these lands. And now, it's reality. Divine goddamn pill. Lan Xiaoyan hurriedly spoke up with intense curiosity. Cousin, do you still have more of those pills? The visitors, Bayan shook her head. I've distributed all of the ones I refined before. If necessary, I can make more for you. However, your strength is not enough to take it yet. It's too risky the way you are. First ascend to a higher rank. Then we will see if you're suitable for that. Yes, cousin. The Demon Queen's assurance was enough for Lan Xiaoyan. She's never doubted her cousin, so she's not going to start now. Ling Yin, Jin Tian, go greet your great-grandfather and great-grandmothers. Bai Yin pats the twins to come forward. The two little ones never shied away since birth, so they sweetly came before the two grandparents. Hello, great-grandfather, great-grandmother. Ache, 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 good child. Old Madame Lan crouched down and lovingly gave the two soft buns a heart hug to satiate her melting heart. The more she looked, the happier appeared on the face. Grandma, you're a lot younger looking than before. Bai Yin saw that there was no trace of wrinkles on her grandmother and brought it up. Really? Old Madame Lan stroked her face in joy. It's probably because of the medicine you gave me before. I always take one each month. Now, when I go out, no one will even believe me when I say I'm 60-something years old. Cultivators age like everyone else, but once they achieve a certain power level, they would stop aging on the surface. For someone like old Madame Lan, she's not nearly strong enough to be eternally youthful on the surface, hence her reliance on Bai Yan's medicine and drugs to retain her youthful appearance. Cousin, how long are you going to be back this time? Lan Xiaoyan, the second male cousin, asked with smiles of his own. We all miss you a lot. Bai Yin hung her eyes down due to her disappointing answer. I will probably go back to the demon realm tomorrow. This time, I'm only here to show Ling Yin and Jin Tian the place I used to live. They never seen any of you, so I wanted them to at least get that. Is that so? Lan Xiaoyan couldn't hide the disappointment in his eyes. He expected more than a night of staying, since it's their long-awaited reunion. Yin Yin, old Madame Lan, puts the two milk buns down and reached out to hold the woman's hand. Will you be staying here at the Lan estate tonight? Bai Yin wanted to refuse, but suddenly saw a hopeful light in her grandmother's eyes. Whatever word she had in mind was lost to the tummy. Okay, we will stay here for the night. Besides, I believe there will be other people coming after they hear of my return. If any of you get word of the flower brothel and demon beast sect coming, let them come see me. Bai Yin pauses to think, and if Wang Diqiu and his son comes too, go ahead and let them come see me as well. Smiles all over the face. Old Madame Lan pats her granddaughter's hand in delight. Then what about the palace? Her Highness the Dowager was mentioning about you before. If the Queen Mother and my student Nangong Zhuan want to come, then that's fine too. As for everyone else, I'm not interested. She did not forget how the world treated her prior to the relationship with the Holy Land was exposed. Aside from those mentioned few people, she had no reason to keep contact with anyone else. Okay, go rest first. I'm sure you and the kids are tired after a long journey back. Old Madame Lan relaxes after getting her wish. The visitors 5, cousin, I've kept the room you used to use in proper condition. You can go ahead and use it right away. But Ling Yin and Jin Tian will need a new room. Lan Xiaoyan grins mischievously. And I want to sleep with you today, cousin. Bai Xiaoqin immediately clung onto his mother's arm after that comment and stared at the girl with alertness. Auntie, how come you were trying to hog my mother as soon as we arrive? I know my father will not spare you if he finds out. Puckering her lips into a pinch. What does it matter, Zayachim? Your father is not around right now. It's not often I get to see your mother, so let me have this one night. If not, let Ling Yin and Jin Tian sleep with me tonight. I want to snuggle with them. I'm sure they're soft and cuddly. Bai Xiaoqin gawked in astonishment. Recalling back to the past, this auntie of his would stick to him like glue, and now he's got a feeling that he's an extra that's unwanted. Bai Yin reached out and knocked her cousin's head. Quit making a fuss. You go rest by yourself. Xiaoqin is going to accompany Ling Yin, and Jin Tian likes to sleep by himself. As for me, I'm used to sleeping on my own too. Oh, Lan Xiaoyan pouts like a child that didn't get their toy. Xiaoqin, Ling Yin, Jin Tian, go have a good rest for now. We'll be getting some visitors later. Making a lazy stretch, Bai Yin found herself to be more and more tired recently. This wasn't exactly normal, yet wasn't so odd either that it warrants special attention. Since Bai Yin appeared on the human world, news of her return spread like wildfire and caused people from all over to visit. As a result, the entire Luhua kingdom was suddenly bombarded by travelers making their way over to the Lan House. Unfortunately for these hopeful individuals, the Lan House wasn't so kind this time around. They're putting up a tough front and blocked off their doors to drive them away. This saddened the visitors, but it also relieved the guards at the door since they no longer needed to deal with this bunch. Sunset. At this moment in the back courtyard of the Lan House, Bai Yin was laying comfortably inside a pavilion with her legs stretched out like a seductive snake. She's incredibly mesmerizing in her posture that could easily win a man over. Hualuo, Fang Yufeng, I didn't expect both of you to arrive at the same time. It's been so long since we met. Bai Yin gracefully sat up, her lips donning a stunning smile. How is the flower brothel and demon bee sect doing? Hualuo, the head lady of the brothel, spoke first. Mistress, I've been developing as you instructed. If not for the three powers having celestial rank cultivators, we would have caught up long ago. Narrowing her eyes in at the last line, Bai Yin examines her subordinate with careful scrutiny. Gradually, she chuckles in appeasement. Very good. You've made incredible progress while I was away. With your strength, it's possible for you to take divine goddamn pill to advance further. I believe it's due for you to head into the celestial rank. Full of joy on her face, the lady flew into elation. Thank you, mistress. Nangongjian's one, milady. Then amid Bai Yan's momentary daze of watching the two people leaving, a maid hurried over and spoke. The palace's people have come. The palace. Bai Yan's curves her lips into a great smile. Aside from Her Highness the Dowager and Nangongjuan, the others can stay outside. Once they know that she's back, it's unavoidable those from the court would come seeking an audience. However, there's only two who would be granted an audience. As for the rest, they could get lost for all she cares. But obviously this time the Demon Queen was wrong in her guess. Aside from the mentioned two people she's willing to meet, no one else came, including the previous king. They've been firmly warned to stay away by Nangongjuan, who has become the new king. Back then when Bai Yin accepted the bullied young orphan prince as her student, his life had gone through heaven and earth. No longer was he a disdained child. He was prized as the only connection to the great powers. On top of that, the previous king abducted the throne in haste and installed the boy as the new ruler. But time wasn't without its difficulties for Nangongjuan. At the beginning he knew nothing, nor did he want to use the Lan House and others to his own benefit. Of course, Bai Zhanping of the medicine sect knew of the boy's troubles and secretly moved things, but that didn't change the efforts of the young lad who had no experience. Fortunately, he survived the great difficulties and earned his own place in life. Front courtyard. The afterglow of the sunset poured down and fell upon a young man who stood stoically along the leading path. He was accompanied by the dowager, who was clearly younger and alive than a few years ago. Majesties, The lady wants to see both of you now. The maid respectfully reports. Nangong Jun nodded to the young maid and took his grandmother's arm to head inside. Immediately after they entered to the back area, they were welcoming with the sight of that dazzling female in the pavilion. Just like in his memory, that reddish figure was a shining beam of hope, bringing warmth to his world at first glance. Even if Bayin never taught him anything, but was his teacher only in name, she's given him way more than he could ever ask for. Dowager, little Juan, you're here? Bai Yin stood up to welcome the two familiar faces where she fell into a momentary trance after seeing the old queen's sleekish black hair. It's been a while since I met the Dowager, but it appears she's gotten younger, looking like my grandmother here. They're probably using my Dan pills like instructed before. Flushing red in the eyes due to the emotions running through his vein, Nangong Juan was full of attachment towards this benefactor. Shifu, I did not fail to live up to your hopes. Right now, the Luhua kingdom has become the leader of the four kingdoms. Blinking after hearing those words, she promptly turned towards the youngster who has grown by leaps and bounds. He's no longer a young kid, but a mature young man who's quite handsome in his own right. Little Juan, you've grown magnificently. Also, you do need to address me as so. I took you as my student because I fancied your talent, but I failed as your teacher since I couldn't teach you anything over the years due to all the circumstances. Nangong Juan's will, too, that word of being called Shifu, left her feeling very much guilty inside. On the other hand, Nangong Juan was stunned and started at the woman with an inexplicable look of shock like he's ready to cry. Shifu, do you not want me anymore? Bai Yin smiled and shook her head. I just feel that I've failed in being your Shifu and doesn't deserve it. I taught you nothing so far. Whatever achievement you have today is your own effort. In just a few years, this boy's strength has increased a lot, and perhaps in the future he would stand at the peak of this world. It was Xiachen who saved me from the hands of that bully. I didn't have a mother, and it was you who let me have a taste of a mother's warmth in that few days we were together. In this life, I will only look to you as my Shifu and mother. Nangong Juan stubbornly raises his face, those eyes determined and unyielding. I know where you are now. Isn't it just the celestial realm? Wait 10 years. After 10 years, I will definitely go find you. Bai Yan's smile became more and more obvious. All right, I'll gladly wait for you. Nangong Juan breaks into a smile at the approval. Shifu, my father ran away from home since last year and left me the Luhua kingdom. I'm not able to do it yet, but I promise that I will turn this kingdom into a nation worthy to stand beside the three great powers. I will turn it into an empire. That way you won't lose face when I go to the celestial realm. His Shifu was recognized as the most extraordinary person in these lands. Therefore, how could he bring shame to Bai Yan's prestige by bringing nothing to the table? It's good to have ambitions, Bai Yan pats the young lad on the shoulder. Since you already assumed the position of a king, where's your queen? Nangong Juan shakes his head. I don't want to marry a wife so quickly. I envy you and your husband, Shifu. In the future, I also want to have only one love for one life. Until I meet a suitable woman, I won't marry. A cultivator's life expectancy was extremely long anyways. He had plenty of time to wait. That's fine. I like and support your idea. Bai Yin felt proud of the boy's determination and pleasing personality. Turning to the Dowager, Your Highness, I hope that you won't force Juan to marry either. I want him to be happy. The Empress Dowager smiled bitterly as a response. I don't have a problem with my grandson not marrying either, but those ministers have other ideas in mind and constantly attempts to dump their daughters on him. I was hoping you can speak with them and refuse on Juan's behalf, Yenner. Bai Yin narrowed her eyes and thought, why do kings and emperors have all numbers of wives? Probably not because the man himself actually liked those females, but rather it's because of the ministers wanting to send their daughters into the royal bedchamber. Highness, you can tell them to come speak to me next time. I will be happy to lecture them on this subject in the demon realm. Since the barriers separating all three realms are gone, I know they can travel if they dared. The Dowager's heart slowly eased up at the promise. Going to the demon realm to find her? Those ministers wouldn't dare. Little Juan, I I haven't taught you anything, so I've always felt guilty about failing you as your mentor. This is a good opportunity, so take these elixirs. They can help you greatly in your cultivation. Nangong Zhuan's Will 3. Bai Yin took out a few bottles from the storage ring and wanted to stuff them into Nangong Zhuan's hand. Yet, instead of accepting the gift, the lad quickly withdrew his hand and placed it behind himself. Sure, Fu. I want to rely on my own strength to find you. I don't want your elixirs to enhance my own power. If I do, would that still be me? Nangong Zhuan's eyes became more and more determined. Moreover, I believe in myself, and one day, I will catch up with you with my own efforts. Between her astonished eyebrows, Bai Yin didn't miss the dazzling stars in the lad's gaze. It's powerful and strong without any hint of deception or weakness. After a long time, she put away the bottles and laughed. All right, I will wait for you to come to me using your own ability. I also believe in you. With your talent, I know it won't take long. However, I will still teach you about alchemy and the experiences I gained during my own cultivation. Come back tomorrow, and I will have the materials ready. In fact, the book she planned to give the young king had been prepared before. She's only missing a few pages to complete the content. An extra day would allow her to finish it. This time, Nangong Zhuan did not refuse and formed a shallow smile of joy. Thank you, Shifu. Bai Yan's eyes nearly fell into a trance at that familiar manner of speaking. It reminded this demon queen too much of herself during times of hardship. Mother, mother! It's then during her trance, a milky voice cuts in, followed closely by the sound of staggering steps rushing into her arms. Bai Xiachen had been following closely behind the baby milk bun with worry in his eyes. The boy's afraid of his little sister accidentally falling. Ling Yin, this is your granny dowager. Bai Yin places her daughter down after a brief hug. And this young boy is also your big brother. Hello, Granny Dowager. The little girl's smile was sweet, and her voice was soft and sticky like a rice dumpling. In particular were those two dimples on the cheek. It's like there's sweet wine in there, which warms the heart of those on the receiving end. Such a beautiful little girl. Is she your daughter? The dowager showed a completely surprised face. She had seen many little girls of this age, but none of them were as delicate and lovely as Di Lingyan was. Her face was red and fluttering with sheen in those watery eyes. One only needs a glance to know she's clever and naughty. Such a little girl is really likable. Big brother. Di Lingyan turns to Nangong Zhuan and spoke with her crisp, cuddly voice. Hug. She opened her arms and looked like she wanted a hug. Nangong Zhuan's heart was about to melt under that adorableness. Without forethought, his body moved as requested in attempts to lift that baby. However, right as he did so, Bai Xiachen also moved and promptly pulled his little sister to one side behind himself. Ling Yin, how can you ask other boys for hugs? Confused as she blinked those eyes, the pipsqueak tilts her head. But isn't he my big brother too? Why can't I have hugs? She pouted as if she didn't understand why her big brother would be unhappy. Boss, Nangong Zhuan's immediately formed a smile with those clean eyes. It's been so long. That only made the pipsqueak even more confused. In her view, the new brother was clearly bigger than her big brother, so it didn't make sense to use the word boss. The fairy house's people are here. One. Bai Xiachen pursed his lips and stared at the young king with wariness in those eyes. Nangong Zhuan, I treat you like a brother, so you better not have any ideas about my sister. Just now, this bastard's eyes were about to stick to Ling Yan's body. Anyone can tell what he's thinking with a glance. A smile rose from Nangong Zhuan's young, handsome self. Patting his boss's shoulder, Boss, your sister is my sister. In this life, I won't let anyone bully our sister. After hearing this, Bai Xiachen's wariness finally eased up a little. You must remember your words today. If you dare hit on my sister, then me and my father will break your legs, you know. Faintly chuckling with a pang of sweat forming on his forehead, the young king understood how close he came to his own doom. There's no way he wouldn't know about his boss's protective nature of this young baby girl. After all, even before Ling Yin was before, the steam bun had already been talking about how he would cherish a little sister. Yin Yin, me and Juner is purely here to see you. The dowager smiled lovingly as she spoke. Now that we've seen your achievements, I can finally tell your mother you wear that she can be at peace. Bai Yan's heart shook with emotions at that mention. She's had a lot of feelings about her adopted mother. Lan Yu was not her biological mother, but in her memory, this adoptive mother regarded her as her own. If it weren't for the things that happened later on, maybe the previous Bai Yin wouldn't have been so miserable. If you have the chance in the future, do come back and visit us in the Luhua Kingdom more often. We won't bother you now. Zhu and Er, accompany me to see old Madame Lan and the rest of the Lan house. I haven't seen my old friend for some time as well. The dowager sighed lightly due to how fate turned out. If my son Nangong Yuan, former king, had known Bai Yin would turn out so incredible, would he have stopped Nangong Yi's dissolution of the marriage arrangement? Unfortunately, there is no ifs in life. Even if Nangong doesn't withdraw the marriage, I doubt Yinner would continue to accept that arrangement with her temperament. Yes, grandmother. Nangong Zhuan remains very respectful of her grandmother. Giving the tiny milk bun another look, the boy smiles gently as he leaned down. Sister Ling Yan, if you come again in the future, do come visit me. I will be happy to show you around if possible. After he said these words, the young king promptly turned away to depart under by Xiaqin's popping eyes. Bai Yin quietly watched as the pair left. She too wanted to spend more time with those she knew, but she also knew this reunion was short-lived and forcing it would only make it more painful. Suddenly, right as she was getting a little moody due to the short amount of time she had, the Demon Queen noticed two familiar energy signatures flying over from the sky. Shifu Zhongnan, Shifu Zhongbei. How come you two are here? In the sky, the two old figures gradually descended onto the courtyard, their cheerful voices resonating in the air. We didn't come see us in the fairy house, so we naturally had to come after we got word of your return. Bai Yin grinned at that comment. You know you didn't need to come. I had planned to come see you two tomorrow. But since you're here now, that would save me another trip to the fairy house, so I guess it's a good choice. Everyone she wanted to see was now seen, meaning she won't need to spend another day traveling and could go back to the demon realm at morning. Lassie, I haven't seen you for so long. How are you lately? Zhongbei laughed heartily as he touched the ground. By the way, how come your husband didn't accompany you on this trip? The fairy house's people are here, too. With a blank face, she lowered her eyes to cover the dark emotions under those eyes. Then looking back up after a long moment, she lightly smiles. He has other things to do at this period, so I brought my children back only so they can experience meeting all of you. Xiaqin, go find Jin Tian and bring him here to meet his grandchiefess. Okay. The steam bun lights up and quickly nodded before running off. Zhongnan watched that small figure leave before speaking. Xiaqin has grown so much during his time away. He's starting to be much like you and your husband, you know. After saying this, the old Gramps' gaze fell upon the tiny pipsqueak, those eyes gentle and soft. And this girl must be your daughter? Yes, she's my daughter, Di Lingyan. Bai Yin pats her daughter to move back. Go on, sweetie. Go greet your grandchiefess. Hello, grandchiefess. The pipsqueak says with a fantastic voice that could melt the coldest heart. It's too tender and too cuddly. Mother, mother. Not far away, a small milk bun staggered towards Bai Yin until he threw himself into those arms. Did you ask Big Brother to find me? Yes. Bai Yin pinches her boy's little nose and smiled warmly. These two are your grandchiefess as well. Quickly go greet them. Turning around to meet Zhongnan and Zhongbei's gaze, the little glutton wasn't as soft as his twin sister. Instead, he proudly announced his words for all to hear. Hello, grandchiefess. Good child. Zhongbei bellowed out a heart laugh at the child's behavior. Yinner, all three of your children are outstanding. I can already imagine them taking a piece of this world for themselves in the future. Biting his finger, the little glutton didn't really understand and asked with his cute face, the world? Is it tasty? Zhongbei was stunned for a moment, chuckled as he replied, the world is not a food. Oh, then I don't want it, said the little glutton. I only want to eat good food. If it's not tasty, then I don't need it. Zhongnan stared at the boy with that baby fat before breaking out into a grin. All three of them have such strong personality, Yinner. Xiaqin is more mature and stable with a growing, domineering attitude like your husband's. Lingyan is clever and smart just like you. Jean Tian is absolutely adorable in how silly he is. Baiyan doesn't have a single bad offspring. Although this Jean Tian is a little silly right now, but his desires are cut and dry. If he focuses this aspect correctly, he will achieve some marvelous things. I know he will. I don't need them to be outstanding in the future. I just want them to live life in peace and happiness. Watching her kids in front of herself, the demon queen felt complete and whole. That's why I'm so desperate to grow stronger. It's so I can bring forth a peaceful and prosperous world. The two brothers from the fairy house had nothing more to add to that statement. They know this disciple of theirs had great goals in life. Whether it's for herself or those around, she's destined to achieve it eventually. Lassie, won't you go back to the fairy house with us for a while? Zhongbei was silent for a second before bringing forth his wish. There are others over there who misses you as well. The fairy house's people are here, 3. Baiyan smiled faintly. Those who truly miss me is likely only you two and my close family members over there. I'm afraid the others are only asking for me because of my powers. To speak the truth, I don't like the fairy house. I can forgive grandfather for what he did out of consideration for my father, but the mistake of everyone else, I won't forgive them. How could she those at the fairy house when they forced her parents to separate? What, just so they could offer the guy to that fake goddess? Compared to the fairy house, she prefers the Holy Land and medicine sect. Therefore, unless it's for her father's sake, she would not be entering that unhappy place again in the near future. Zhongnan opened his mouth, wanted to argue the point, but felt his student there was speaking the truth. Baiyan was a disciple of the Holy Land elders, the granddaughter of Bai Chongfeng who controls the medicine sect, and her alchemy was unmatched in these lands. Let's say she abandoned all these levels of identity. Would those at the fairy house still want to accept her existence that came out of wedlock? The answer would be a big fat no. They would have driven her out eventually with threats and framing. I understand. Then I will not force you to go back to the fairy house. But if you want to come back next time, do remember to inform us in advance. We will come to you instead. Zhongnan made a weak smile. Baiyan nodded. I'm leaving the human world tomorrow, and when I come back next time, I'll definitely send a messenger ahead of time for you both. Also, I'd like to ask both of you to give me greetings to my small uncle since I won't get to see him on this visit. Haha, if the second young master knew that you still remembered him, he would definitely be very excited. Zhongbei bellows out a laugh, scratching her cheek awkwardly since she knew what they were referring. That guy, has he married yet? Ho ho, Zhongnan guffaws a laugh as well. The second young master is still the same old him. He's always flirting with the females of the fairy house and refuses to settle down. Do you know how many times the Lord and Madam beat him for his behavior already? He just doesn't learn. If only he could be even a little bit like your parents, then perhaps he could at the very least take a wife instead of merely playing around. Baiyan raised an eyebrow. Indeed, my father only likes my mother, and my grandfather only has my grandmother. I'm wondering myself as well where he got his flirtatious personality from. None of the family has that characteristic. Zhongnan got quiet like he's musing over the subject. Perhaps he merely didn't find the right one yet. If it could be assumed that way, then it all made sense. Why settle down if you didn't find the right one? After all, none of Baiyan's family lineage had a case of a womanizer before. Perhaps that guy only plays around because he also wants a woman that he truly loves. If that's the case, Uncle Sun Huan will definitely regret his current behavior. Baiyan's eyes narrowed into slit. When he meets the woman he likes in the future, these debts he made today will definitely come back and haunt him. No matter his excuse, love affairs aren't so cut and dry. Not to mention he already has several concubines in his home without status. What are they going to do? I can already see him having a headache for years to come. The fairy house's people are here, for, unfortunately, the second young master just didn't listen, and even the good-tempered madam wanted to teach him a lesson. Zhongnan shook his head helplessly. The family discipline of the fairy house was already strict to begin with. It's honestly baffling for such well-disciplined parents to produce such a flirtatious child. Mother, Di Lingyan tugged at Baiyan's sleeve, her hands rubbing her eyes. I am sleepy. I want nappy. Okay, sweetie. She gentles pecks her daughter on the forehead. I'll take you back to your room to sleep now. After saying this, she raised her head and looked toward Jongnan and Jongbei. Shifis, I won't stay and entertain you anymore, but if you want to stay for a while then, I will ask grandfather to arrange the guest rooms for you both. Me and Ling Yin will go back to our room and rest. Zhongnan nodded slowly. Then you go ahead, don't worry about us. We can arrange things ourselves. Hearing this, Bai Yin didn't say much more and turned to her two sons. You two should also go back and rest. We got a long trip back to the demon realm. She had been away for a few days by this point. She's wondering if Ditsong had finished his business and gone back. Not knowing this made her anxious and hoped to return to that silver-haired and purple-robed figure. Flower brothel. What stood before people's eyes were song and laughter. Unlike other brothels where women are miserable and sad all the time, the situation in this establishment was glowing and bright. Most of the girls carried themselves well with fine clothes and respected personal space. However, there are exceptions to everything. In the wine-scented room where Mu Qing Song resides, this former mistress of the Music Valley was currently being taken advantage of by a pair of filthy hands from a fatso. Her body was no longer as white and clean as before. Instead, she had bruises in certain places and was forced to smile before her guests. By the way, did you hear? Bai Yin of the Lu Hui Kingdom has returned in recent days. Mu Qing Song was just in the middle of pouring wine when her hands trembled and nearly dropped the bottle. Quickly lowering her eyes after the fact, there's unwillingness and resentment in that look. She couldn't understand why Ditsong would be so cruel to herself. Was it to express his feelings for such a woman? Such a man? He's too ruthless. I already knew this. How can I not? Countless forces on the continent came to visit her, and only the people of the Demon Beast sect and Flower Brothel got to get an audience. The man wearing a green robe replies with a shake of his head. But this Bai Yin really is a lucky one. Turns out she's only an adopted daughter of Lan Yu, while her real mother is the young lady of the medicine sect, and her father the young master of the fairy house. As for herself, it said that even the princess of the Holy Land would worship Bai Yin like she's her idol. Sighing when mentioning the last bit, the guy sounded jealous. With all three powers related to her, who can ever compare to that Bai Yin anymore? Mu Qing Song clenched her teeth due to the conversation around. It's making her difficult to breath. She hated Bai Ruo for misleading and sending herself down this hellish road. From a fairy-level existence, she's now a prostitute that has to sleep with filthy men to make a living. Worst off, she's not even allowed to flee due to all the eyes watching her. That's old news, my friend. Another guy in the room chimes in. So what if the three powers are related to her? There's more explosive news that just came into my lap. The fairy house's people are here. 5. Oh. The green robe man looked at him in surprise. Wang Jiang. Do you have something we don't know then? Wang Jiang, who was being served by Mu Qing Song, smiled triumphantly, as if he's enjoying the attention from everyone inside the room. That's a given. Didn't I tell you, I met someone from the fairy house before when I journeyed around for training? Guess what? That person told me the identity of Bai Yan's husband. Identity? The green robe man was stunned and got curious. He is the king of the demon realm. Do you get it now? The reasoning for that phenomenon of all animals bowing towards the Lu Hui kingdom is because of Bai Yan's son, not that by Ruo's rut. Wang Zhang's attitude was full of disdain when mentioning Bai Ruo's name. Mu Qing Song's face became more pale than ever, causing that smile to disappear altogether. Ditsong is the king of the demon realm? Now it all made sense on why Ditsong would be so dismissive of herself. What grand beauty that man hadn't seen. Why should he bother with herself, who's only the mistress of the Music Valley? Yet, one thing remains unforgivable in this slut's eye, and that was Bai Yan's fortune. Why should someone like that stand above herself? Also, you don't know this, but can you guess why the three powers would all of a sudden have celestial rank masters among their roster? This secret was told to me by that friend from the fairy house. It's because of Bai Yin. She created a special drug called the Divine Goddamn Pill for those at a bottleneck. Wang Zhang saw the shocked gazes from all around and felt elated. So, It's only to be expected for such an outstanding woman to marry the king of the demon realm. Clack! The wine jug slipped out of Mu Qing Song's hand and caused the liquid to splash all over her customer's robe. Slut, how dare you? In his rage, after being dirted, Wang Jiang jumped up and slaps the lady across the face, sending her crashing down like a fallen leaf. Mu Qing Song's cheek instantly got red and swollen from the impact, but more than that crashing sound was the laughter coming out of her mouth. She's mad laughing like a crazy lunatic. There's infinite resentment and hatred in those eyes. Bang! The green-robed man also joined his friend and stomped at the hysteric lady. But no matter what the two did to her, Mu Qing Song didn't stop and got louder and louder. What now? Wang Jiang grew a little flustered. He secretly ran out to have fun tonight without his wife knowing. If he drives this woman crazy, then it would blow up. By then, his wife would definitely find out and he would be finished. Quick, go find a nanny to fix this mess. The green-robed man had quick wits and fled for the main hall downstairs. Meanwhile, back on the floor, Mu Qing Song continued to cry and laugh like a crazy lunatic. She had never lost herself like this before. Not when Di Song abolished her strength, nor did she collapse when Bai Yin threw her into this brothel to servicemen. But now, after hearing the grand achievements of that hateful woman, Mu Qing Song finally crumbled. She's totally lost. Bai Yin, if there's a next life, if I get another chance, I will definitely steal all of your happiness. I will take everything that you hold dear. The fairy house's people are here. 6. Why can Bai Yin be so happy? And I be so wronged? It's not fair. This world is so unfair. So if there's a second life, I will definitely take away her happiness and leave her with nothing. Next day, the morning light was just beginning when Bai Yin slowly opened the door and allowed the brightness to land on her gorgeous face. Little Jun, so early? She only needed a glance to see the waiting teenager outside. Nangong Jun smiles faintly as he replies, I was afraid Shifu would wait too long, so I came at sunrise. Since you are here, then I will hand over these 2 books to you. Bai Yin took out 2 books from her sleeve and offered it over to the teen. Nangong Jun, me, and Shachin will wait for you. I hope you can live up to my hopes and find your place among us within 10 years as you promised. With your talent, I know you can do it. Shifu, I will not disappoint. The young man's clear eyes were firm as he vowed in a calm, decisive tone. Bai Yin didn't say anything more and silently patted her student on the shoulder before bypassing the teen. She said all that she needed. Any more would be pointless. In the distance, the mother could see her twins saying their farewell to Lan Xiaoyan in the courtyard. However, the mother didn't find her eldest by Shachin. How come Shachin isn't around? She asks after looking around. Mother, Di Ling Yan's eyes lit up and threw her tiny body onto the woman's arm. Big brother said he's going to say goodbye to his chubby friend before coming back. That brought a smile to Bai Yan's face. She understood why her boy would do that. After all, in these lands, the chubby kid was one of the few friends since coming into this world. Then we'll wait for him. Then we'll leave. Luhua Kingdom. The morning street was quiet, and there was no hustle and bustle like in the afternoon. The chubby stood at the door of the Wang's home while speaking to the steam bun. Boss, are you really going to leave again? You only came back yesterday. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Because my mother still needs to find my father. Bai Shachin lowers his eyes with a moody note. He and Bai Yin didn't know where Di Song went, so it's a given they would go look for him. The chubby friend almost cried. Boss, when will we meet again? Bai Shachin's frown tightens as he thought about the question. Then, taking out a token from his sleeve, the demon prince hands his friend the item to show what it was. The token was read all over with the word prince engraved on one side. This is identity token my father made for me before. You can use this to enter the demon realm unhindered in the future. If I'm not around and you miss me, you can use this to visit me instead. Bai Shachin's eyes twinkled with light when facing this precious friend of his. You will always be my best friend in this life. The doors to the demon realm will always be open to you and Nangong Jun, provided that you don't hit on my little sister. Also, you're not allowed to touch Dragoni either. The chubby instantly pouted at the last bit. Boss, aren't you too overbearing? Sister Ling, Yin is fine since she's our sister, but Dragoni isn't even blood related to you. How come I can't go near her? I think Dragoni is very cute so. Bai Xiaoqin's face suddenly darkened, his little fists clenching into a ball. Wang Xiaoping, if you dare get any funny ideas about Dragoni, then I will beat you. The fairy house's people are here, 7. Wang Xiaoping became frightened and couldn't understand why his boss would show such a huge reaction. He's both baffled and surprised along his chubby face. Hurrying to take a step back. Boss, I was only joking, really just joking. How can I ever think about hitting on boss's little sister? She's your sister, so she's also my sister. Even if I got 100 balls, I still wouldn't dare, Ahem. Bai Xiaoqin softly huffs a grunt as he raises his chin proudly. Remember my words, if you go to the demon realm, you are not allowed to have any ideas about Dragoni. Otherwise, I will really beat you. I treat you like a brother, but you want to be my brother-in-law? Dream on. I wouldn't dare, I wouldn't dare. Wang Xiaoping trembled and gulped. Bai Xiaoqin's angry appearance was much more terrifying than his father's. His father was at best a little cruel, but Bai Xiaoqin, there's an overpowering pressure oozing out of his body which left him breathless. Under this kind of coercion, how could he not submit? That's right. The steam bun pats his chubby friend's shoulder like a fine adult. Wang Xiaoping, don't say I didn't warn you ahead of time. To be my brother-in-law, there's a lot of hurdles to overcome. Even if you do pass the trials, there's my little brother and old man. So, even with your chubby skin, you won't be able to withstand their abuse. You will only eat a bitter melon in the end. Wang Xiaoping scratches the back of his head. Then what about her wanting to marry someone else? How are you going to stop her? Bai Xiaoqin was silent and fell into deep thought. If Ling Yin wants it, if she likes a guy, I may not necessarily stop it. But if a stinking boy dares to pester her, I will break their legs. That said, the full might of his domineering attitude explodes, revealing the king in the making. And why do you only talk about Sister Ling Yin? Boss, what about Sister Dragoni? Can I pursue Dragoni in the future? Scram! Bai Xiaoqin kicks his friend in the butt angrily, all the while making sure he didn't exert too much force. The chubby got all sad and aggrieved in the face. Bai Xiaoqin, didn't you say that as long as your sister likes it, you won't stop them? Why do you believe Sister Dragoni won't pursue someone in the future? I believe in Dragoni's taste. She will definitely not look at you. But I can lose weight and become excellent for her sake, boss. All right, I'll come clean. Since the first time I met Sister Dragoni at the fairy house, I've taken a liking to her. The chubby rubs his nose in shy embarrassment. Wang, Xiao, Peng. Bai Xiaoqin gritted his teeth and crunched that fist. From now on, when your old man beats you, I will also join him and beat you. I will never allow this guy to go after Dragoni. Boss, you're overreacting here. Can it be you also like Sister Dragoni? She's not your biological sister, so it's within expectation. I won't blame you for that, boss. In regards to men and women, the chubby was older than his friend, so it's normal for him to understand more. The steam bun snorted in reply. Dragoni is my sister. Of course I like her too. The fairy house's people are here. 8. That's not what I mean. It's the kind of liking that your father and your mother have. Wang Xiaoping got urgent and began scratching his ears and cheek frantically. The boss is usually such a smart person. How can he be so confused about emotional matters? Wang Xiaoping, Bai Xiaoqin frowned. You are only a small child. Quit talking about lovey-dovey things all day. My mother said it before. Early love is wrong, and incest love is also wrong. I regard Dragoni as my sister, and only my sister. Not to mention, I only want to keep my mother and sister company. I don't have time for a wife. Going at ease over that explanation, the chubby grins with glee. Boss, if you don't want to marry Dragoni, then I will give it a go. After all, I can't take my own brother's woman, but since you don't. Seeing that Bai Xiaoqin was ready to kick him again, the chubby hurriedly dodged away and cried a grievance. Boss, did you learn this habit of kicking people from your mother? I am wrong. I am really wrong. I will never hit on Dragoni again. Please spare me. Retracting his leg after that plea, the steam bun huffs and puffs as he spoke. Wang Xiaoping, I'm serious. If in the future you miss me, then you can visit me in the demon realm. I need to leave now. He raises his hand and pats the chubby on the shoulder. As long as you don't hit on my two sisters, then we will be good brothers for life. That instantly caused the chubby to beam with hope in his eyes. The wording of two sisters didn't escape his head. That's to say, if there's a third sister, then it's free game. Boss, to tell you the truth, I really will miss you. Wang Xiaoping wipes some of the tears brewing outward. Promise me you will come see me if you have the time. We haven't seen each other for several years already. I will, when everything is done, I will definitely come back to see you with my mother. Also, I haven't finished the snacks Mother made me recently. Here, I'll give them to you. Bai Xiaqin reluctantly took out the bottle he prepared for his friend. Without hesitation, the chubby eagerly snatched the present from his boss. Old Pa, look, my boss gave me these damn pills. What? As soon as Wang Deqiu heard this, he quickly ran out of the estate and locked onto the bottle held in his son's hand. Immediately, his eyes radiated a joyous glow. Quick, let me see what these can do. As soon as he grabbed the bottle into his possession, the man shamelessly ran back into the home without giving his son a chance to protest. Wang Xiaoping was dumbfounded. These were obviously given to me by my boss. How did I get robbed by my old man? Father, don't eat it all. Leave me some. In his haste, the chubby didn't bother to say goodbye to the steam bun and twaddled his round, baelish body into the home to chase after Wang Deqiu. As a result, Bai Xiaqin was left hanging in the cool breeze, looking all sad and pitiful. What did he say about missing me? Only a bottle of pills, and he's already shown his wagging tail? Pursing his lip, the steam bun hung his head in a dejected manner to leave. So, if it's true, a kid's word is not reliable. For now on, I won't believe Wang Xiaoping's lies again. At this moment, Bai Xiaqin seems to have forgotten that he was just a child as well. The fairy house's people are here. 9. People came and went on along the street like usual in the day, but this time around their vision was accompanied by the image of Bai Xiaqin walking past. Fortunately, the boy had been gone for a few years. Thus his face resulted in him not being recognized due to his growth. Otherwise, who knows how long it would take before he made it back to his mother's side. Outside the lawn house, Bai Yin was already waiting there at the doorsteps when the steam bun finally appeared within her view. With a brilliant smile, the Demon Queen warmly welcomes her eldest with a hug. Did you say farewell to Wang Xiaoping? Bai Xiaqin lightly pursed his lips and nodded. Uh-huh. You're not happy? Bai Yin furrowed her brows and continued to ask. I'm going to miss this place. Bai Xiaqin raised his tearful eyes. Mother, there's too many acquaintances here. There's grandchiefs, grandfathers, aunties, and uncles. There's so many people that I'm going to miss. Bai Yin understood where her boy was coming from and gently comforted him with a pat on the back. In the future, when all the dust is settled, I will accompany you back here. Okay? She and Bai Xiaqin were different after all. Bai Yan's originally from Earth. Whether it be the Holy Land or Luhua Kingdom, it's not the homeland where she grew up. But the steam bun was from these parts. He grew up in the Holy Land and spent a good while in the Luhua Kingdom. It's unsurprising that he's holding attachment to the human world. Sure enough, Bai Xiaqin's eyes finally lit up as he donned a brilliant smile. Okay, when Father returns, we will resolve all the issues with those enemies. Afterward, I want to stay at the Holy Land for a while before returning here. Bai Yin smiled lightly and spoke in a soft, cooing voice. Then let's hurry back to the demon realm. Maybe your father is already waiting for us at home. The steam bun nodded obediently as he snuggled intimately into Bai Yan's arms. Her bodily sin alone was enough to make him particularly relaxed, so this was his comfort zone. Truth is, anywhere your mother is where my home is. Bai Yan's heart trembled without a noticeable trace, but her eyes were already swelling with a thin layer of fluid. She couldn't deny being emotionally moved by that last comment. Before I knew it, he's already up to my waist in height. He's grown so much. Mistress. Just as Bai Yin let go of her boy, Hua Luo and Fan Yufeng also rushed over from the crowd and stood in obedience to the Demon Queen. After I went back yesterday, I have selected a group of excellent talents to leave with us today. Hua Luo, the loyal female subordinate, charmingly reports. True to her name, she has a smile like a flower. Also, that Mu Qing song of the Music Valley I mentioned yesterday, she's died last night. Mu Qing song's dead? Bai Yan's expression was indifferent to the name. I understand. Since you've both brought the people you want, then we will depart now. Mu Qing song's death was of no importance to the Demon Queen. That woman was no more than a blip in her life, hardly worthy to even remember the lady's name, if not for her subordinate bringing it back up again. Strangely enough, though, why would that person suddenly die after a visit? Grandmother, grandfather, Bai Yin slowly turned around and looked at the gathered members of the lawn house behind themselves. Big cousin, second cousin Xiaoyan, I'm leaving now. All of you must take care of yourselves until we meet again. I don't know when that will be, but that day won't be too far off. Hell Domain. Old Madame Land's heart remains reluctant to let go after the reassurance. This grandmother still had countless words to say. You go, sighing after only mustering up these 2 words. You have things you must do. It's already good enough that you were willing to see us at such a time when you're so busy. Take care. Bai Yin looked deeply at the relatives behind her before slowly turning away for the sunlight with her children in tow. Demon Realm. The sky remains a blood-colored scene as always, giving this world a strange yet enchanting vibe to the uninitiated. Welcome home, Queen, Crown Prince, Princess, Second Prince. The guard at the palace gate immediately kneeled and offered their respect to the family. Has Deetsong returned yet? Bai Yin asks after groaning for a second of hesitation. No, Your Highness. The king hasn't returned yet after your departure. The demon guard says with a strong voice of admiration. Growing quiet, the demon queen raises her head towards the crimson-colored sky with a longing look. He hasn't come back yet. Involuntarily, the corners of her lips revealed a bitter shape as gloom gradually formed overhead. Mother, Bai Xiachen subconsciously sensed the dampened mood and grabbed his mother's hand. Nothing will happen to father, and I will protect you in father's stead. Bai Yan's fingers lightly stroked her eldest's hair. Don't worry about me, sweetie. I believe in your father, too. Let's go inside. I'm sure you're all tired. Okay. Bai Xiachen obediently swung that hand in a jovial manner after that. Demon Mountain, a place perennially shrouded in white light after its inception. Right now, a particular lady was sitting at the peak looking bored and in deep thought. Suzuku. Tsingy the Azure Dragon suddenly appeared behind her and sat down as well. Is there something bothering you of late? Suzuka shook her head slightly and turned to the woman behind herself. Even after such a long time, she had not yet gotten used to the fact that Azure Dragon had become a female like herself. I'm wondering if I should tell our mistress where the king has gone. Gently pursing her lips, those eyes are filled with sorrow. You know where the king went? Xing Yi's face flashed a trace of surprise. Since you know, then, why didn't you tell mistress? Suzuka shook her head and smiled bitterly. The place where the king went is too dangerous. His Majesty has the body of a demon, so he may be able to make it through that difficult road with his sturdy body. But mistress is a human. I fear she might not be able to bear it. Also, the king warned me before leaving that I'm not allowed to tell mistress about this. I have no choice. Perhaps because of the deception and concealment from Bai Yin, Suzuka's look became more and more guilty. Xingyi, do you think I should tell her? If I really don't say and something happens to the king, what would mistress do? She won't ever forgive me. Hell Domain, too. Xingyi's heart shook as her fist tightened into a ball. Inhaling deeply, the dragon lady had to take a moment to calm herself. So you knew where the king went. The place where the king went. It is a domain, but not the kind you are used to. There are no countless strong beings in there, so there's no danger involved in that aspect. However, the passage through it is extremely harsh. Suzuka looks up to meet her companion's gaze, those eyes showing an unmistakable fear. This was the first time Tsing ever seen the phoenix make such an expression. Suzaku had always been calm and charming with the occasional domineering attitude similar to their mistress, but never was there fear. So what your view, Suzaku? Will the king be able to make it through the passage and find what he needs? I don't know, she shakes her head. I just know that those who walk that path will definitely see the most horrid of nightmares inside their heart. Not only that, The effects of that passage will magnify this terror to the limit. If they don't overcome this, the person can never make it out and die in there. Suzaku's face had gotten a little pale due to the mere thought of Bayin possibly going through such a trial. More importantly, the person who created this domain is the ancestor of our demon realm. That demon held a deep hatred for humankind because a human woman stole her beloved man. If one of our kin goes through, then it's still bearable on our physical body. But if mistress attempts the feat, the strain is unimaginable. That's why the king threatened me before he left. His Majesty doesn't want mistress chasing after him. Now Tsing finally understood why her friend would be so scared of that place. If the likes of themselves still had the chance of perishing merely by entering the passage, were the odds of Bayin ever making it through? Obviously slim to none. What are we going to do? Tsing Yi's expression sank. If the queen finds out about it, she would definitely. Suddenly, the dragon lady's voice stopped as she jolted around to stare at the oncoming figure from below the peak. Suzaku came back to her senses first and quickly got up from the rock she was lying on. When did the queen appear? Why didn't I sense anything? Say, Suzaku, Tsing Yi, what are you hiding from me? Bai Yan's lips curved upwards into a smirk, but that smile only made the two in question pour out a layer of cold sweat. How much did mistress hear? Suzaku, Bai Yan narrowed her eyes in at the source and got a shiver as response. I'll give you another chance to confess. Where did Deet-san go? Suzaku's face turned deathly pale as cold sweat flowed down the corner of her forehead. Mistress, I can't say. If she had said it, her mistress would have desperately chased after her husband. By then, she might never return. Won't say. A cold glint appeared in Bai Yan's eyes. Suzaku, although I haven't remembered everything yet in the past life, but I do know you've been following me since you were born. So what am I to you? Are you going to not listen to even my words? Suzaku stumbled backwards, her teeth clattering due to the nervous wreck that was her heart. Hell Domain 3. Even if you don't say, I will still go find Deet-san. Regardless of the place, regardless of the time, I will search every corner of the multiverse to find him. Bai Yan raised her eyes slightly and stared deeply into the Phoenix woman's gaze. Are you sure you want to waste my time like this? Or do you not believe I can find him on my own? Mistress, please don't ask me, Suzaku cried out quickly. I really can't tell you. Plus, the creator of that place has a deep hatred for mankind. If a human go, then it's certain death. Bai Yan pricked her lips into a snarling sneer over the danger. Did you forget something? Aside from being a human, I'm also the queen of the demon realm, the wife of Deet-san. Every time I am in danger, it is always my husband who disregards the danger and protects me from the threat. This time, it's my turn to protect him. Suzaku, tell me where that place this instant. I'm ordering you. Watching Bai Yan walk closer and closer towards herself, Suzaku's heart flew into endless panic. Turning for help from the dragon lady next to herself, she pleaded with those eyes like a puppy. Mistress, the king will certainly be all right if... Tsing Yi was just about to speak up as well when Bai Yan's footing stumbled to a halt. Without signal, the demon queen coughs out a mouthful of blood and scared the daylights out of the two. Mistress! Mistress! Suzaku and Tsing Yi exclaimed in horror, their faces anxious and frantic. Bai Yan's hand squeezed her own chest until it started hurting. Then, closing her eyes, the woman suddenly discovered something shocking. Her connection with Deet-san has been broken. In order to prevent her from escaping his side, Deet-san forcibly signed a contract with her back then. They've already broke it once due to a misunderstanding before, so that the feeling was not new. This was definitely what happened. The contract is gone, Bai Yan says with deathly white complexion. The connection between me and Deet-san is gone. Suzaku's eyes widened in shock. How is it possible? Who can break the contract created by the king? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. She shook her head in panic, those legs retreating like an unhinged person who had the world crash over her head. If something does happen to the king, what would happen to the mistress? She will be sad beyond measure. Suzaku. Bai Yan lifted Suzaku's collar and confronted her subordinate. Even up to this point, Are you still going to remain silent? The Phoenix woman fell into a daze in that instant. Watching that furious face, her enchanted complexion turned green as those lips quivered. Where the king went. It's the Hell Domain. Because the domain is like hell itself, us demons will face a lot of difficulties as well. For humans, you'll be tortured beyond belief, both physically and mentally. Only a few ever made it out of the Hell Domain. Tell me, how do you get to this Hell Domain? The corners of her mouth were still covered with blood, but the light in her eyes was full of anger and anxiety. The divine lord who created up the Hell Domain back then is a demon here, so it's within the demon realm. Mistress, can I go with you? It's too dangerous. I can't let Mistress go alone. I'm coming too. Sing, he shot over and yelled. Hell Domain, for you two stay in the demon realm and watch over everyone. I alone am enough to head into the Hell Domain. If the danger posed by the place was so great that even Deetsong couldn't handle, then there's no point in bringing others along. They wouldn't be able to help, which mean unnecessary casualties. So, this time she was going to go alone. But no, it's an order. Bai Yan's voice was loud and authoritative. Wiping the blood from the corner of her mouth, she turns to Sizu. Take me to the entrance of that Hell Domain now. Afterward, return and watch over everyone. I believe with the four of you and the demon elders, no one will be able to threaten you guys to the point it's unmanageable. Suzaku's body trembled, her face gradually growing solemn and pained. Yes, mistress, I will definitely protect the little ones in your absence. Also, the Phoenix lady pauses like she's sobbing. Mistress must bring back the king and return to us safely. Bai Yan didn't say much more since her heart was a total mess after the connection with her husband was gone. Hell Domain. As the name suggests, a cold blast of wind hit the demon queen in the face the moment she stepped through the portal. It's bone-chilling to the point even her current strength was barely enough to keep her from freezing over. I wonder where Deetsong is. Bai Yan lowered her eyes, staring down at the white expanse of the world around. Then an idea hit her like spark. Suzuko said the only way to make it through is by walking. If Deetsong is still waiting for me, I will find him no matter the difficulty of the road up ahead. SZZZZ. One step, that's all that was needed to feel something sharp scraping against her soul. It's at a spiritual level, therefore no shoe could deny this pain. Then came the rain as if on cue. These droplets of water approached her in piercing fashion. It's almost enough to break through her defenses and ripple holes into her flesh. Bai Yan naturally fell into shock by the magnitude of danger this passage possessed. The ground scraped her feet, the temperature cold enough to freeze, and the rain were bullets that wanted to poke holes in her. Without delay, she promptly drew her Godslayer and began repelling anything she could. Sadly, there's no chance she would be able to stop all of the droplets with a mere sword. Before long, her whole figure had become a bloodied mess. Not lethal, but the surface layer of the skin had become roughed up hard. As the complexion grew worse due to the excessive blood loss, Bai Yan's movement grew slower and slower with each passing minute. It dawned on her. Trying to protect herself like this was pointless. The droplets would cut her skin, yes, but it's not enough to break through her actual flesh and bone if she continued to put up resistance with her energy. Therefore, after a second of deliberation, the demon queen withdrew her Godslayer and trekked forward. No armor, no weapon, simply herself. Bai Yan felt so tired and hurt during this arduous journey. She doesn't know how long she's been walking, nor the time of day. One thing's for sure, though, if not for the alchemic healing elixirs in her possession, there would be no way she could have done this and died from the pain alone. It explains why Suzaku and Deetsong would be hesitant to tell her about this Hell Domain. It's not somewhere a human should come, ever. Hell Domain 5, even Bai Yan didn't know how long she had been gone from her family. It felt like centuries slow, and then it happened during her low moments. Instead of the dark, raining environment of ice, she saw a light up ahead. Looking surprised, the demon queen subconsciously covered her eyes to adjust to this change. Surely but slowly, she trudged forward despite the wrong feeling she had about this light source that's similar to a rising dawn. For one thing, the beaming sunlight was too red to be normal. And like she suspected, the second she stepped out of the raining bullets, the suspicion was confirmed by what she saw. Ahead was a sea of fire. The whole ground burned with molten lava to pave her next path. Shuddering inwardly at the concept of this cruel passage, the creator of this domain has a sick personality. First it was ice, and now it's fire? Closing her eyes, she recalls back to her man's evil and roguish appearance to reaffirm that conviction. Slowly forming a smirk, Deetsong, wait for me. I will definitely find you and bring you home. Everyone is still waiting for us at home. After muttering herself, she didn't hesitate and lifted her now bare feet to cross this flaming sea. SSSSZZZ. The sharp searing pain hit her hard, sending Bai Yan's entire figure into a pyre of heat. Whatever skin she had left before was gone, leaving this woman with nothing but bone and open flesh. True to its name, this hell domain was dishing out punishment worthy of the real deal. Who could survive being burned alive like this? No normal human could. If Bai Yan wasn't a powerful being herself, she would have turned to ash in the first second. Stumbling and swaying like a ghoul, Bai Yan's awareness was degrading faster than ever. Before, the raining bullets and ice were already bad enough, but this had gone beyond simple cruelty. Then, right as she's about to fall and perish, a surge of unwillingness swelled up from within. Physically and mentally, she was done, drained and depleted. But willpower had always been her strong suit. Knowing her own failure was unbearable than anything in this world. Gritting her teeth, Bai Yan's ghoulish body continued to shakily crawl forward. She could no longer walk, but continuing like an animal wasn't beyond her pride if it meant saving her husband. Of course, this method won't last either. Thankfully, not all was lost. Realizing she still had some elixirs left in her storage ring, the woman promptly summoned one out to sip through the jaws due to her lips being incinerated. I mustn't give up. I mustn't stop. For him, going through ice and fire is nothing. Time passed like an eternity in this second trial, for there's no sensation of time anymore. When will this end? Will I ever see Deetsong again? Her conviction was firm, but crawling for so long left Bai Yan with a hinge of doubt that anyone would have. What if her body had already been destroyed and only her soul remains? She wouldn't know with her current condition. Feeling the fear creeping in her bones, the woman crawled even faster, thus expending her energy further. Then, right as her view was about to fade into a blur, the sea of flames disappeared as well like a broken clock. Everything simply stopped. Hell Domain 6, hot. So hot. Bai Yan awoke to this burning heat despite having just left the sea of fire. Why'd I still feel hot? Her eyelashes fluttered as her consciousness slowly came back to reality. Uncomfortable, she wiggled around wanting to move, but found her arms and legs tied firmly to a pillar. Her whole body had been chained to this thing and couldn't move. Kill her. Kill this woman, lest she harm our celestial realm in the future. There was a cacophony of noises coming from below. Bai Yan lowered her and stared at the crowd, showing at her from below. The last strand of days instantly dispersing once she got a better look. Wasn't I supposed to be in the Hell Domain? Why am I back in the celestial realm? Moreover, everything in front of her was more of a déjà vu. It's like she had experienced this all before. Do you have any last words to give? A gloomy and indifferent voice came from the side. Turning her head slight, Bai Yan's eyes were instantly welcomed by the familiar face that made her expression darken. Keeper Ling, you're supposed to be dead. Why are you still here? Keeper Ling was obviously dead. She killed the old guy with her own 2 hands. Therefore, it didn't make sense. None of this made sense. And this scene, a thuff, she could recall everything in clarity, but she's heard of this mentioned before. 1,000 years ago, she was robbed of her amulet All Heaven by Yun Ruo Shi, the old witch who framed her for being the disaster that's going to befall the celestial realm. Because of that, these keepers of the celestial palace abandoned her and planned to execute her for crimes that she never committed. Impudent wench. Keeper Ling's voice was cold and unkind. Lass, I have a message to tell you, so you can die in peace. Today is going to be the marriage date between Ruo Shi and the Celestial Lord. He has promised to take her hand, so you can forget about help coming. Also, your grandfather is also unconscious due to our interference. There's no one left to save you anymore. Bai Yan's heart ached the moment that news fell over her head. She didn't have any feelings for Chui God, but this feeling was obviously from her previous self. Though unwilling to admit it, the bond she shared with that man wasn't weak. It may not be love, but it's definitely at the level of a family member or older brother. What does his marriage have to do with me? Bai Yan ticks her lips into a snarling smirk like she didn't care. Surprised and taken aback, Keeper Ling thought his message would destroy any life left in this girl. After all, she had always tailed the Celestial Lord from years past. It only made sense that it would hurt. Why the indifference now? Lass, you can stop feigning indifference already. I know how much emotions you have for the Celestial Lord. Your lies cannot fool me. It's too bad. We may have admired and liked you due to your talent, but you're going to be the scourge of this world. We cannot overlook the threat you pose. Keeper Ling's frosted gaze then fell upon Bai Yan's face like he's ready to begin the execution. So, don't blame us for being ruthless. If you want to blame, then blame your own destiny. Nightmare 1. Her face was slightly cold, and her gaze swept over everyone present with a sneering smirk. Is it because I forgot this scene? That's why I have to repeat it again, to remember? Burn her! The noise below came again, and the flames surrounding herself answered that call and burned brighter and hotter. In light of the encroaching flames, Bai Yan's appearance doesn't yield or submit. In retrospect, the fire from the hell domain hurts way more. This meant nothing after all she's gone through. Lass, do you have any last words to confess? Or do you have a message for your grandfather? Keeper Xian, the kindest of the bunch, sighs helplessly, his appearance reluctant and apologetic. Towards Bai Yan, he's always had a good opinion until recent times. But for the sake of the Celestial Realm, he too was willing to sacrifice this one person for peace. It's a pity that such a genius. If it weren't for the disaster she would bring to the Celestial Realm in the future, we would really be reluctant to execute her. Bai Yan quietly chuckles at their shamelessness. I will return again in the future, so what message is there to say? You scums better treat my grandfather well. Otherwise, when I return to my next life, I will have you all die in the Celestial Realm. None will ever know peace. Keeper Xian's pupils contracted sharply, his heart shuddering profusely at that proclaim and vow. So it's true, they weren't wrong about you. You're the disaster of the Celestial Realm. Humph, this proves we are right in our decision today. The fault is your own for what's happening. Keeper Ling Yin roars in anger, his face red and burning. Already enveloped in fire by this point, Bai Yan doesn't scream nor plead, only smiling brilliant like their words were jokes. Boom! Suddenly, a powerful force blasted over from the side, causing the Demon Queen's body to go stiff as she turned to peer at the source. It's a face of anxiety, a worried look, and an all-too-familiar face she's been yearning to see. Silver hair, purple-robed, and an air of dominance that could overshadow any competition in this world. The Demon King makes his entrance. Deet Song, tears blur Bai Yan's eyes as she wept at that stunning contour. She wanted to be in his arms, and that's exactly what the man did. Blowing apart the chains binding the woman, the Demon King swept his wife into a princess hold and glared down at the crowd who dared to harm the love of his life. Today, who dares to touch my woman? The man's tone was domineering, coming down with an anvil that smashed into everyone's already shocked heart. Demon King, how dare you come to our celestial realm? Keeper Ling narrowed his eyes in and sneered. Our two realms are inherently hostile to one another. Now that you dare to barge in here, then you can forget about leaving. Execute them both together. Nightmare too, huh? Deet Song laughed wildly, his red lips rising into a mocking grin at Keeper Ling and his peers in front. With only you? His voice was dismissive, and the taunts were unabashedly echoing across the open field. The contempt in a man's eyes enraged Keeper Ling, who was already quite irate to begin with. Yes, with only me. Huh, I've been quite patient with the celestial realm, due to her sake. And now you're so pompous that you want to trap me? No one can stop me. not you, and not the useless garbages behind you. If I want to protect someone and take them with me, nothing can stop me." The man's hand tightly wrapped around by Yan's waist as he softly whispered into her ear, "Don't worry. No one can hurt you anymore. No one can hurt you anymore." Yan's heart couldn't help but tremble a few times as she rested her eyes with comfort knowing he's around. Whether in a past life or in this life, this man would always protect her. There were many masters of the celestial realm present today due to the summoning, and they all wanted their heads. Knowing this, Yan wanted to help, but was promptly stopped by Ditsong's unyielding and protective hand. He's wholeheartedly intent on doing this alone while she rests. And like that, the Demon King carved a path of blood as he walked out of the execution grounds in broad daylight. Whomever foolish enough to attack him was promptly slain in a single strike, and those cowardly enough to back off didn't do a thing. A true war god, a demonic and undefeatable being of glory. Right now, on this day, Ditsong makes a stand to stomp in the faces of these scums of the celestial realm. For a millennium, they would never forget the humiliation of this battle. It's also one of the reasons they never dared to invade and annihilate the demon kin. They feared this man to the core. "Keeper Xian, let's go up together and kill them." Keeper Ling's expression grew increasingly more ugly as their forces gradually diminished under that onslaught. He's ready to explode and decides to act in person by mustering up his powers for a powerful strike. This was the opening he's been waiting for, by throwing his subordinates in there despite knowing their actions were futile. The grumpy keeper wanted Ditsong to turn sideways and be distracted, which was exactly when he attacked. Unfortunately, that too was a foolish idea. Knowing these shameless scums would never fight fairly, the Demon King always kept an eye out for his back in case a sneak attack came. Sure enough, in the second where Keeper Ling came at him, Ditsong swung around and sent a whirlwind kick in counter. A devastating kick versus a simple palm strike. Anyone could tell which had the further reach and power. Slamming into the flaming pillar that had been used to execute Yan, Keeper Ling throws up a mouthful of blood before looking up in shock. "Ew. How can this be? When did the king of the demons have such strength?" "Girl, we're going." Ditsong's hands tighten around Yan's injured waist so that she doesn't fall off by mistake before flying off into the horizon. Those who wanted to stop him didn't dare to do anything. They saw exactly what happened to Keeper Ling. If that guy got defeated with a single kick, what chance would they have? No one likes to die, and no one likes to die for nothing. Keeper Ling, Keeper Xian, and the others quickly ran over to help their peer up. "What's going on? When did Ditsong's strength increase again?" Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, the grumpy old man darkens in the face. He likely used a forbidden technique to temporarily raise his strength. It won't last long, and afterwards he will be weakened. Send our people out and pursue them. They can't get far like this. Damn that Ditsong, accursed demons. Why are those beasts always butting heads with us everywhere? I will never let them go. Inside a valley, Ditsong crashed into the ground after losing elevation from the sky. He couldn't fly anymore like the grumpy keeper suspected. What's more, he also got injured in the side during the exchange with the old scum there despite winning with his kick. "You don't need to be afraid. I'll protect you." Yan's heart quivered with pain at the condition he's in. "Ditsong, you're injured?" Nightmare 3. "Injured? Do you think those weaklings can hurt me?" Ditsong sneered, his eyes full of disdain. Yan's heart became more and more uncomfortable. "You think I can't see it? Did you use any method to forcibly increase your strength? You suffered a backlash, didn't you? Otherwise, with your character, you wouldn't have left with me so quickly without making a mess first." Ditsong was stunned, looking down at the girl in front of himself. There's a mist of confusion that he couldn't quite pinpoint. Yan took a few steps back with a hint of guiltiness. This guy, did he notice something? For a long time, the Demon King didn't move and simply stood there. Then suddenly, he chuckled softly before pinching Yan's nose like a boyfriend spoiling their girlfriend. "Girl, when did you know me so well? If I didn't know better, I would think you didn't get changed out with someone else by those from the celestial realm, did you?" Slightly upset at the very idea that she would be a doppelganger, The lady stomped her foot and looked away. And why not? She's not exactly the same person from 1,000 years ago, so her personality would naturally be different. If Deetsong grows suspicious, then that's normal. Unexpectedly, instead of being alarmed, the man abruptly pulled her hand over and placed it along his chest where she could hear his thumping heartbeat. Without you, I would be dead here. Do you hear how much it's dancing because of you? How can I not know you are my Yinner? Bai Yin threw herself into the Demon King's arm right then there. To be confessed with such heartfelt words would make any lady flutter, let alone a version of her husband from way past. It's making her feel like a virgin maiden that's being wooed all over again. Girl, today is Chu Egod's marriage date. Don't you want to go stop it? Deetsong got quite awkward and stiff by the hug. Shaking her head, I'm not going. Why? Deetsong's eyes pricked up in surprise. Although I have always wanted you to be my woman, but I also don't want to take advantage of this moment just to win you over. I have my pride, and my pride won't allow me to stoop to such low means. If you think I want you to do this as repayment, then you don't need to. No, that's not it. You are injured, and those people will likely be waiting for us if we go. Why should we willingly jump into their trap? Bai Yin lifts a finger to stop him from speaking by placing it on his lip. Flailing his arms up like a clueless dote, Deetsong didn't expect this act from the girl who always behaved so proper and decent before. It's sending him up into the clouds to the level where he forgot the pain in his bloodied waist. Silly lass. Deetsong eventually came back to his senses and smiled. Those people can't do anything to me. Can it be you don't believe in my strength? If I can take you out, then that means I can also protect you. From out of the blue, Bai Yin bursts out into a laughing fit. Her smile was bright and shining, causing the whole area to glow due to her existence. Oh, Deetsong, you are such a silly guy, you know. Chu Egod gave me up for the sake of the celestial realm. Why would I care about someone like that anymore after that? He can go ahead and marry whoever he likes. She wraps her hand around his, that face looking up with longing. I, on the other hand, want to marry you. Nightmare, for the Bai Yin of 1,000 years ago may not have made the promise to Deetsong so quickly. But she wasn't from 1,000 years ago. She's from the modern age. They have experienced so much turbulence already. What was there to hesitate about? At that moment, the haze in Deetsong's heart seems to be blown away by the wind, and a beam of sunlight shone through from the clouds to warm his whole existence. Girl, is your word serious? Deetsong. Bai Yin lets go of his lip, her expression looking solemn. Whether in this life or in the next, you are my only husband. If we can't survive in this life, I will wait until our next. You must wait for me. Even if you forget me, no one is allowed to be around you until I show up. Grinning like a fool, the Demon King pulls the lady into his arms and leans down to peck her on the lips. This was his first kiss, so he didn't dare to be aggressive. He treasures her. There's no way he would allow his own misgivings to hurt her. Girl, you will be my only woman in this life and the lives to come. No matter how long I have to wait, it can only be you. Time flies. What followed could only be described as a dream in Bai Yan's eyes. Those from the Celestial Palace did not want to let them go, so they sent numerous masters to hunt them down. Even Chu Egod eventually gave chase with his own people with the plan of bringing the woman back. Of course, Deetsong and the 4 sacred beasts protected her like history ordained, and like history dictated, they all died at the hands of the Celestial Palace. She had seen these things once already, but now she's actually able to experience it herself. It's so heart-wrenching that she wanted to rip her own soul out. But fate wouldn't allow that. In the end, Bai Yin could only helplessly watch them from the sidelines. These things, like a nightmare, replayed over and over again in her mind in a never-ending loop. She wanted to wake up from this nightmare, but every time she awoke, she was by Deetsong's side again. Even though the lady knew what would come and happen next, nothing ever changes. Such a feeling of powerlessness was torturing. It's beyond cruel. Girl, what's wrong? When she awoke again in this new loop, Deetsong was already beside her with a worried face and hugging her shivering body. Tell me what happened. Is it because of what happened to Azure Dragon and them? Deetsong, tell me everything that happened is a nightmare. Please tell me it's all fake and not true. Bai Yan's body curled closer to the man's chest. She didn't want this to continue and pleased. Bai Yan was no fool. Suzaku already told her the Hell Domain would cause her to go through nightmares. Unless she finds a way out, she would never be able to leave again. Yet, despite knowing this fact, she felt trapped and powerless to do anything aside from weeping and acting like a damsel in distress. Nightmare 5? Yenner, what are you talking about? Why can't I understand? Deetsong frowns and embraces his wife's hand to reassure her. Tears flowing down her face. Bai Yan's eyes looks up with pain and misery. I obviously went to the Hell Domain to find you. Why did I instead go back to the past? This must be the nightmare Suzaku referred to. Everything I experienced is just an illusion. Deetsong, how can I get out of this? Our sons, our daughter, they're all waiting for me. I can't stay here any longer. Deetsong's face showed a flicker of surprise before wrinkling his temple up. Hell Domain? Sons and daughter? Yenner, the baby in your womb isn't born yet. Bai Yan looks down at her belly where there's a prominent bulge showing. Deetsong doesn't know anything. If he knew, he will. Deetsong, I need to tell you the truth. Everything that's happening now, it's all in the past. I knew Azure Dragon and them would die. I try to change their fates. I try to save them, but each and every single time I failed. We can't keep doing this. This isn't real, and I need to find you. Deetsong got quiet, leaving the whole air stale and suffocating. After a long time, the man's low and hoarse voice sounded. This is the reason for your personality change? Yes. Yenner, can you tell me the future? In our next life, do we have children together? Yes, Bai Yan replied softly. Her eyes were very gentle. Xiaochen is very good and kind. Ling Yin is well-behaved and sensible. Although Jin Tian eats a lot and is greedy with his food, he's showing all the qualities of a fine man. They're all very excellent. Deetsong, they're all waiting for me. I must wake up from this nightmare. This dream had been so real that Bai Yan's thought she traveled back in time. If not for Azure Dragon's death in the last loop, she wouldn't have come to her senses and remembered the truth. How can I help? Deetsong's gaze fell upon his wife's body and firmly states his will. Though reluctant, he's obviously not going to keep this up if it's true. I don't know, I just know that I and the baby in my womb can't live long. Bai Yan slowly closed her eyes. In the previous life, she had died in Deetsong's arms after fleeing the battlefield when Azure Dragon acted as their rearguard. At that point, the baby should have been around 5 months old, which was around this time as well, with a slightly different change in environment. Deetsong hugged his wife even harder. I will never let you disappear, never. Even if I have to give up everything else, I would keep her safe. Bai Yan slowly closed her eyes to take comfort in her man's arm after getting the support. Is it that after my life is over, the nightmare too will end? This way, I will be able to return to the Hell Domain. Don't worry, Deetsong, our bond won't end. In the next life, I will wait for you. The fated day finally arrives not long afterwards. The masters of the demon realm were slaughtered by the celestial realm, and Deetsong had yet to return from the expedition, thus causing Bai Yan to rush into the belly of the beast where everything occurred. Even if the cost was her life, the demon queen didn't hesitate. Nightmare 6. Keeperling's gaze fell on the woman who rushed over to their spot. He's sneering upon recognizing who it was. It's been a while. It really has been a while since I last saw you, Bai Yan spoke with indifference. You are still as unpleasant as ever. Humph! Keeper Ling snorted coldly as he swept his gaze over to Bai Yan's belly. Then, smirking contemptuously, Lass, in the past you would always follow the celestial lord around, so we all thought you would only have him in your eye. To think. Sighing like he's totally disappointed. How long has it been and you're already pregnant with another man's bastard child? Bai Yan narrowed her eyes into a slit. He is unjust to me, so why should I have feelings for him? Besides, Chu-E God is only a brother to me, nothing else and nothing more. He's murdered Azure Dragon in them. Therefore, any siblingship is gone between us. I only have hate left for him. Why would I ever marry an enemy and give up my husband who is so kind and good? Ha ha ha! Keeper Ling sneered some more, waving his hand to summon his men. Come, Kill this woman alone with his child in that womb. Do not leave a single person alive. Queen. Those of the demon realm present were stunned. They wanted to go help Bai Yin, but their injuries obstructed that will. They could barely stand up, let alone fight. Queen, you don't have to worry about us, you go. With a blank face and an indifferent face, she confronts those who want her life without fear. Ignoring the fact that she's pregnant now, Bai Yin wouldn't have been able to contend with this man-people of such caliber. Not to mention, there's also the second strongest member of the Celestial Palace, Keeper Ling. Before long, the Demon Queen had fallen into a disadvantage as she exhausted her strength. Hurrying to take a pill to replenish her strength, she evades another swipe of the sword by the enemy. Yinner, a terrified voice came from the rear, then in her critical moment. The moment Bai Yin turned around was when she saw Di Tsong's frantic face rapidly closing in on her location. PFFF. Unsure when Keeper Ling had gotten behind the woman, but a sword had pierced through Bai Yan's chest at the momentary reunion. Blood sprayed out of her chest in a splattering motion, causing her clothes to stain red and gory. Di Tsong, I should go back to where I belong. The corners of Bai Yan's mouth hung an anguishing smile as her body collapsed to the ground after the metallic blade sheathed out of her flesh. Since only death could make the nightmare disappear, she chose to accept it, and only then could she return to the Hell Domain. The previous life was already a thing of the past. Being reluctant wouldn't change a thing. She must save the Di Tsong in her life this life. Bai Yin, death isn't the end for you. I will destroy your soul, so you can never be reborn. Boom! When Keeper Ling raised his hand, a bolt of lightning promptly fell down and smashed into Bai Yan's lifeless body. But does death really represent the end, though? Bai Yin awoke again due to a series of noisy sound around herself. Slightly opening a crack in her eyes, the Demon Queen was horrified to discover she was back at the execution grounds again at the Celestial Palace. Nightmare 7. Why? Why am I back in this place? Bai Yan's eyes were in a daze as she swept her sight over to the familiar faces down below. She's so lost that whatever Keeper Ling was saying went completely over her head. Did you hear me or what? Keeper Ling's eyes were cold and was further annoyed by the disregard from the woman. Do you have any last words for yourself? If you do, then hurry up and say it. We don't have time to waste on you anymore. Bai Yin didn't reply right away. Rather, she made a confused face for a good while before muttering the only words that came to mind. What did you say? Since you don't want to say anything, then we will begin the execution. Bai Yin, don't blame us for not giving you the opportunity to leave a last will. The old grumpy guy snorts a cold grunt and waved the men to begin lighting the pyre. The hot flames promptly surrounded Bai Yin from all sides. Yet, the woman could not feel an ounce of pain, only a hollow emptiness at the people yelling at her with disdain. Exactly like before, a purple-robed and silvered-hair man came to her rescue in the nick of time. But unlike the first loop, this time around the Demon Queen didn't feel excitement after seeing her husband. She's gone through a lot of loops already, but this was different and the only time back at the execution ground. How could this be? How could this be? She clasped her head heavily as agony showed along her face. Why is everything back to square one? All of it. Why is this starting all over again? Do I have to keep experiencing this pain? The pain of losing my friends, losing everyone I care about? Falling into her lowest point, Bai Yin did not utter a word as she allowed Di Tsong to take her away. In the same way, everything that happened next was like a nightmare. First, it was the demon realm being besieged by the forces of the celestial realm. Then it was the sacred beast falling in order to save her. Afterwards, she did everything to the script as she pulled her pregnant self to find Di Tsong after they lost contact with him. Lastly, she awoke once again under the grief-stricken cries of her husband after dying. It never stopped. Each loop continued to grow in horror. Though sometimes the same, it also changed slightly with each variation to make it all the more painful. This continued until Bai Yin could no longer take it and became entirely numb. Maybe I can't escape anymore. And this is the reason why Di Tsong and Suzaku are reluctant to let me into the Hell Domain. Bai Yan's heart was still unwilling to give up, but what else was she supposed to do? She's tried dying already. That didn't work. Then she tried to change the events by whatever means necessary. That also didn't pan out. Nothing was working. The blood-stained battlefield. A young man's figure stood strong and proud against the bristling wind. Though the life in the lad's eye had faded by this point due to the open hole running right through his chest, the power this body carried could not be wiped away. White Tiger, it's enough. You don't have to do this anymore. I don't want to see you die every time like this. Please don't do this. I can't take any more. Bai Yin threw herself over to the still warm corpse, her tears depleted due to the repeated crying. Nightmare. 8. Why? Why are you making me taste this pain again and again? I don't want to go on like this anymore, and I don't want to see you dying before my eyes, White Tiger. Anger ignites from within Bai Yan's sobbing eyes, her hands tightly grasping onto her friend's body as she trembled due to the intense emotion. Am I really going to be stuck here forever? She growls at the air with no specific target. I refuse to believe this. I refuse to believe there's no way out of this nightmare. Deetsong, Xiachen, wait for me. I won't let this hurdle stop me. Despite having no more tears left to cry with, Bai Yin still found her cheeks moist as she stared up towards the crimson-red sky. Then suddenly, after a long while of this, she made a surprised face. It's raining? The few times I've experienced this, I don't recall it ever raining. Of course, there were deviations in the past, but only small things like a word or a tiny gesture. This can't be normal. Why is that? Yin, why are you asleep here? Hurry and wake up, please. Boom! A voice exploded in her head, bringing forth a wave of warmth and familiarity. The corners of Bai Yan's mouth moved slightly as she took another look over the entire battlefield. Only then did she notice the flickering images of everyone around until they completely disappeared from her eyes. Right now, there's only a hazy white mist from where she stood. Yin, the call was getting closer and closer until Bai Yin couldn't resist heading for the source of this voice. Eventually, a dazzling ray of sunlight shone through this fog. Out of reflex, she raised a hand to swipe away at the whiteness blocking her line of sight. This instantly dispersed the closest whiteness from her gesture to reveal that young teenage face. Yin, you finally woke up? The young teen's face was all smiles after seeing her eyes opening. M.O. Li Shang? Piggy's owner. There was still a dull look in Bai Yan's eyes, but it didn't take long before her focus locked onto the guy's smile. Why are you here? The teenager scratched the back of his head and replied cluelessly, I don't know, one moment I was asleep, the next I was here when I awoke. Rather it's you, Yin. Why are you sleeping on the ground? Bai Yin furrowed her brows at the explanation. If I had come out of the nightmare, then what's the explanation for M.O. Li Shang's appearance in the Hell Domain? Am I going through another dream with him instead? She propped herself up and scanned the surroundings. There's still the sea of fire behind her, which showed she had crossed over that part like she remembered. No, this isn't a nightmare. I've completely escaped from it. This is thanks to M.O. Li Shang's call. If he didn't call for me, I might still be inside that never-ending loop of suffering. No matter if it's a coincidence, he's a total lifesaver. But then Bai Yin recalled something important. Narrowing her eyes in at the lad, the demon queen tries to pinpoint the familiarity with anything that comes to mind. Unsurprisingly, nothing came of it because the woman didn't know this guy 1,000 years ago. She didn't know this person. Yin, why are you looking at me with that kind of face? M.O. Li Shang acted all embarrassed and asked, Did I do something wrong? Nightmare. 9. Bai Yin retracted that gaze and shook her head. No. By the way, did you really appear here when you woke up? Nodding his head. M.O. Li Shang continues with his explanation. I originally wanted to go to the demon realm to find you since I was wondering how he was doing. Then when I took a nap halfway there, I suddenly found myself here of all places after I awoke. Fortunately, you are here, Yin. Now I'm not so worried. Do you know what this place is? Bai Yin was silent for a while, before questioning further. The young man shook his head in confusion. I don't know. I just appeared in this place without any knowledge. Yin, do you know where we are? This is the Hell Domain. Bai Yin narrowed her eyes again. The passage for the Hell domain exists within the demon realm. And I wasn't sleeping, I was experiencing a nightmare that doesn't end. To get to this point, I've gone through ice and fire. The amount of danger involved can't even be described. Yet you're able to make it here by taking a nap? How could she believe that story? A shock crossed the teenager's clean face before transforming into a sad and aggrieved expression. Yin Yin, I really don't know what's going on. You have to believe me, please? Seeing the young man's lost appearance, the cold glow in by Yan's eyes gradually dissipated. Perhaps he really didn't know how to get into the Hell Domain? Shang, since you're able to come here, it proves that you are somehow connected to the Hell Domain. But no matter what, I hope you will never betray me. Bai Yin squinted her eyes again to hide the ray of light flashing underneath. Yin Yin, I won't hurt you. I would never hurt her. Mo Shang looks up with those clean crystal eyes to vow at the heavens. Then let's go, I still have to find Di Song. If there was still the contract, then she might be able to find her husband using that connection, but that's not possible now. It's gone, meaning she needed to do this the old-fashioned way. Bai Yin sighed inwardly at how challenging this mission was being. Nevertheless, escaping the nightmare was already a fortunate event. As long as she's out of there, then anything else was fine. Okay. With a bright smile, he came over to Bai Yan's side and hooked his arms around the ladies. Yin Yin, I will protect you. Bai Yin couldn't stay serious under the lad's friendliness and admitted defeat. It is enough for you to stay behind me. I can solve any problem that shows up. No, I can protect you. Mo Shang's tone became stubborn and doesn't relent. Since I said I can protect you, I will definitely do it. Seeing that he was so persistent, Bai Yin did not say anything more and turned back to the view up ahead. Di Song, wait for me. I will definitely find you. Unlike the other domains, there was nothing but barren wasteland in sight. For a long time, Bai Yin and Mo Shang didn't see anyone. Not a human, not an animal, nothing, only a boring, tasteless desert. But even so, Bai Yin did not dare to take it lightly. Di Song had encountered enough danger to break their connection, meaning there must be something incredibly powerful lurking about. Nightmare 10, Hell Realm. In a large expanse of a forest stood an ancient manor. It's airtight and difficult to spot from a distance unless one knew its location beforehand. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean there are no people around. Right at this very moment, a certain young girl wearing a tight yellow dress was acting all nervous before the stone door. "Milady, the master said no one is allowed to enter the stone chamber here. We should go back. Okay?" The maid accompanying the milady was antsy and cowardly because their actions were already breaking the rules. The world says the man hidden inside this stone chamber is someone brought back by my Shifu. That's why I want to confirm it for myself. He must be exceptional to cause my Shifu to be so infatuated with him. The girl took in a deep breath before gently pressing down at a switch. With a squeak, the door swung open and out came a breath of cold, stale air, causing both lady and maid to shiver due to the low temp. But curiosity always wins out when it matches against a maiden's fear. Lifting her feet, both of them stepped through to find a man lying on a bed. At just one glance, she now understood why her Shifu would go through such lengths for a man. As the young miss of the Hell Domain, the only disciple of her Shifu, she's seen countless men in her times. However, there's not a single male existence that could compare to this individual. His skin was smoother and more delicate than a woman's, and his red lips were crimson red like blood, and his shape was seductively demonic. There's no way she wouldn't be enamored by a godly specimen of this caliber. Xiaoying, I finally understand why Shifu hid this man inside the chamber. There's no comparison at all, none at all. But why is he unconscious? The girl pursed her lips as she obsessively eyed the unconscious man. Such a glorious man. If only I could have him for myself. Too bad he's Shifu's target. I won't have chance. Miss, let's get out of here already. If your Shifu the monarch finds us, The maid's expression grew more anxious as she kept glancing back to the entrance behind themselves. No need to hurry. I just want another glance, just another glance, and I will leave. Despite her words, the girl's gaze never left the man's. In fact, her hand had started to move against the guy's face. Shocked, the maid stomped her feet and cried, "Miss, you must not touch this man, otherwise the monarch." But that plea was falling on deaf ears by this point. Right as the girl's fingertip was about to make contact, a blast of heavy pressure blew out and shook the naughty lady's soul. Out of reflex, she jerked backward out of fear. "This what's going on?" The girl made a stunned face, eyeing the unconscious man with disbelief and panic. "Nightmare 11, why is he able to resist my touch when he's obviously not awake?" The girl bit her lips tightly in resentment. "This man, what in the world is he?" "Miss, we need to leave. If the monarch finds out, then she will be furious." The maid's expression became more and more anxious as she pleaded again. The girl finally got dragged away by her maid after much struggle. Despite this, the reluctance in those eyes could not be dismissed. It's so strong that merely being able to watch that slumbering Prince Charming was enough to satisfy her desire. However, right at the last second where both of them were about to step out of the stone chamber, the sleeping prince, lying there motionlessly, abruptly twitched. Next, it was the eyes shooting open. What kind of eyes is that? It's as if all things under the heavens were within his grasp. Hello, my name is Immerse. You were brought here by my Sherfu. What is your name?" The girl tried to appear harmless by making a bright and innocent face, rubbing his temple tightly. The man's actions were halted after hearing that voice as he turned to look over. Her breath nearly stopped in astonishment. She had never imagined there would be such a perfect set of eyes. It's enough to seduce and suck her soul out into him. Scram! The man's red lips moved only so slightly, yet the voice was intense and overpowering. Surprised and taken aback, she promptly took several steps backward, speaking with an aggrieved and wronged voice. "What's wrong with you? Are you sick? Why are you so fierce to me? If you're unwell, then tell me. I can call for the healers to come see." The man didn't respond to her. Instead, he had gradually stopped pressing his temple with that hand and lowered it. In light of this simple gesture, it was so flawless that she couldn't gather her wits to process this great picture. Immediately, a thumping sound filled that heart due to the swirling emotions. "Why don't you talk?" Immerse Yin continues to press for a word after being ignored. "You haven't told me your name yet." "I am called Immerse Yin. You can call me Yinner if you like." "Yinner?" "SSSZZZ." A sharp pain cuts down at the man's temple and causes him to jerk reflexively. There's nothing in his memory, as if someone wiped it all away and left him with only a blank sheet of paper. Yinner. He desperately tried to recall the past out of instinct, but the more he thought about it, the worse that throbbing pain became. It's as if someone was chiseling away at his head. Immerse Yin rejoiced inside over her name being repeated. "Sir, if you like, you can keep calling me Yinner from now on." The man's eyes changed from the initial daze to a type of gloom, smiling menacingly with a cold frosted light. "You don't deserve the name Yinner." Bang! Without a signal, the man flew from the bed and raised a hurricane in the chamber, which sent Immerse Yin to the ground due to how abrupt this blast was. It left the lady staring up in amazement at the direction of where the man escaped to. "It's over." The maid was even more stunned. She remained at the doorway, so she wasn't as affected. Nevertheless, the desperation and horror were all over that face. The man left the secret chamber. If the monarch finds out, then we are doomed. Nightmare 12. The maid was about to cry. The young lady was the monarch's only disciple, meaning the other girl wouldn't be hurt, but she herself wasn't so fortunate. Execution would be the least of her worries. Immerse Yin bit her lip tightly as that body shook with tremor. Why did he act so fierce at me? Did I do something wrong? "Miss." The maid gets all teary and red in the eye. "It's useless for you to think about him anymore now. We should be thinking about how we're going to explain this to the monarch." Immerse Yin did not speak, for her calm heart had long been ruffled up. If this man hadn't woken up then, that's one thing. I don't want to fight with my Sherfu for a man either, but I can't anymore. The second I met his eyes, I've fallen for him, completely fallen for him. Xiaoying, I didn't know what it was like to fall in love before I met him. Immerse Yin slowly stood up from the ground, her pretty face stained with a bittersweet flavor. But after this encounter, I learned that some people only need a glance to understand the meaning of love. Even if it's only as a concubine, I'm willing to be his. Unfortunately, a woman as strong as Shurfu would never agree to this arrangement. But what else am I supposed to do? My heart is moved. There's no turning back anymore. You don't have to worry. I will explain this to Shurfu, so she doesn't punish you. Imo Xinyan looked back to her maid and smiled brightly. Moreover, have you forgotten, this piece of the world is all under Shurfu's control. He can't escape Shurfu's grasp, so he won't be blamed too much. She may say that, but disobeying the monarch's order of not entering the stone chamber was by virtue a crime punishable by death. Even if that won't happen, it's undoubtedly going to infuriate the monarch. Xiaoying also pulled herself up from the ground and made a thin white line with those lips. After all, what else was she supposed to say? She's merely a lowly maid, so her life was in the hands of this lady and her Shurfu. After a long while of this awkwardness, it was the lady who spoke to break it. Let's go. We need to inform my Shurfu and ask for forgiveness. Outside the old manor was a sizable expanse of forest. The moonlit greenery was quite gloomy, and the evening wind gave it an uncanny feeling to those new to the area. Yinner, where are you? The silver-haired man grasped his head tightly, desperately trying to recall the vague face hiding within his head. It's so close yet so far from his reach. Little girl, my heart is dead without you, and only with you will my life be with purpose. The man's hand involuntarily moved down from the head and touched the chest where his heart lied. He couldn't feel the heartbeat, only the cold, bristling air that was blowing through this evening, where he felt so lonely and without purpose. Even if I can't remember anything, nor know how you look like, but I will find you even if it takes me to the end of this world. The man's red lips curved into that iconic grin of confidence. He's evil yet seductive, the stunning demon king of old. Ancient manor. A woman wearing a pearl white dress quickly passed through the corridors here until she arrived outside her own study room. Here, Imo Xian Yin had already been waiting. When their eyes met, the latter was obviously flustered and recoiled back a step under that compelling aura. Woman in white one, Shurfu. Shurfu. Imo Xian's voice was trembling as those teeth clattered. Xian, the woman in white sounded cold and chilling, those eyes piercing as she could see through the young lady. Have you been inside the stone chamber? Imo Xian's body shook harder as she leaned in close to the door behind her back. Shurfu, I just wanted to see what that man is like. I didn't think he would escape. Really, Shurfu, you have to believe me. The girl's face was full of urgency as tears slowly trickled down those cheeks. Bang! Without mercy, the woman in white raised a hand and slapped the student across the face, thus sending Imo Xian Yin flying into the study room and breaking the door as a result. There were traces of blood showing at the corner of her mouth due to this impact. The young lady never expected her teacher to be so ruthless and hit her like this. At most a stern lecture. I said so before that no one is allowed inside that chamber. Did you not understand my words or something? The face of the woman in white stares down with a threatening gleam. Hurrying to pull herself into a kneeling posture, Imo Xian didn't dare to act out and began slamming her head against the floor in a begging motion. Please, Shurfu. I know my fault. I will never do it again. Please forgive me this one time. Unmerciful as ever, the woman in white reached down and grabbed the lady by the neck and lifted her up into the air like a doll. She's squeezing hard, so Imo Xian Yan's complexion has turned red due to the suffocating choke. Xian Yan, do you think you could do anything you please just because I'm fond of you? The cruel woman smirks like an evil villain and cackles a bit. Don't forget how you came to be. I took you in as a child because I found your talent worth my time. If you dare betray me, then I won't just let you die. Shuddering uncontrollably due to the intense fear in her veins, Imo Xian Yin wanted to plead her case but found it difficult to say anything. The squeeze was making it impossible for her throat to utter a sound. Also, I know you've seen him, so lose that idea. He's not someone you can match. If you dare to have any ideas and I find out, The woman in white sneered into the student's eye. I believe I don't need to tell you about the consequences. Bang! Throwing the student like a ragged doll, she casually took out a handkerchief and carefully wiped her palm like it was nothing. Coughing hard upon breathing again, Yin crawled up to her shifu and got into a prostrating position. She didn't even dare to raise the head at this point. Thank goodness. Thank goodness I didn't say anything about wanting to become that man's concubine. Otherwise, Shifu would surely kill me. Shifu, I will never disobey you again, the young lady says, lowering her back even further until her figure was almost into a turtle shape. However, this also hid the cold gleam in Mo Xanyan's eyes from view. If you are obedient, then you are still my good disciple. Therefore, I will continue to spoil you. But if you disobey my orders again, don't blame me for not being kind. After hearing this, Mo Xanyan's body shuddered some more, but knew she was safe now. In the Hell Realm, her Shifu was the supreme authority holding the power of life and death. No one dares to disobey this woman. No one. Woman in white, too. She thought she was different, but apparently she had forgotten the truth. A dog would always remain a dog. If not for her Shifu picking this dog up from the street, Mo Xian Yin would be nothing. No power, no influence, no ability to do anything in life. In essence, whatever the lady in white decides, she must comply if she wishes for this life to continue. Go down. The woman in white waved her hand dismissively and spoke in a cold voice. In addition, you are not allowed to approach him in the future. Do you understand? Mo Xian Yin knew who the man her Shifu was referring to. Though unwilling, she nevertheless lowered her head and complied. Yes, Shifu. After saying this, she slowly pulled herself up from the cold, hard ground and retreated from the room with resentment. Monarch, when alone, an old man hidden in the shadows gradually surfaced and respectfully arched his fist. Do you need me to bring him back by sending my men out? Yes. The woman in white played with her hair like a love-struck maiden. I couldn't have him before, but now that he's in my territory, I won't let him get away again. No one can have him aside from me. It was not easy to make him lose his memory, but no matter, he won't escape my grasp. Sooner or later, I will be wed to him, and he will fall madly in love with me. The woman in white raised her head, those beautiful eyes firm and radiant with hope. Hell Realm. Inside the hellish desert, the scorching sun bakes the whole world underneath its sight like a boiler room. As it so happens, Baiyin and Mo Lishang were currently traversing this dastardly terrain. Shang, take this pill. It will help with the heat. Baiyin took out a bottle and poured what remained inside the container for the lad and herself. Immediately, their fatigue vanished in a puff and replenished their energy. Yin, if you are tired, I can carry you. Mo Lishang walked over to Baiyan's weathered body and crouched down to offer his hand. Despite being very thin himself, the teenager appears unusually big and strong, which brought a smile to Baiyan's face. I'm not a child, you know. It's okay. I can walk on my own. Come, we should keep moving. I'm really worried about Deet Song. Forming a bittersweet smile, Mo Lishang didn't want to refute her request. Yin, if you are tired, then be sure to tell me. There's no need to be polite with me. I don't have many friends in this world aside from you and Piggy. Aside from you too, there's no other. With a blank face, she looks up at the teenager's smile. His eyes were like pearls, shining brilliantly without pollution. Then, out of reflex, she wanted to pat his head. I am really fine. Let's continue. Blocking her eyes from the glare of the sun with her hand, she continues to walk forward for the other end of the desert. Maybe the environment in the Hell Realm was too harsh, but Baiyin and her companion did not meet a single person or animal during the entire stretch of their journey. With the roasting atmosphere behind them, Baiyin gives her forehead a quick wipe with the handkerchief to remove the sweat. However, she had noticed the teen next to herself lacking in this department and threw a clean one over. Woman in white 3, remember to toss the handkerchief after you're done. She has a phobia for cleanliness, and she doesn't like to share things with other men except for Deet Song. Even if the said item was a handkerchief, that's no different. If Yin Yin don't need this anymore, can I keep it instead? Emily Shang held the red fabric with glowing eyes. No, you must toss it afterward. Bai Yan's tone was unwavering and non-negotiable, making a somewhat aggrieved-looking face. Why? Because Emperor Tsang doesn't like other men to take in my things, even handkerchiefs. Because Di Tsang didn't like it, of course. Bai Yan's eyes were heavy as those lips evoked a bitterness in the mouth at the recollection. When did Di Tsang have such a significant impact on my decisions? Emily Shang was stunned. Staring intensely into the woman's eye, the young man suddenly bellows out a laugh. I understand then and will respect your wish. But I'm very envious of him to be able to make Yin Yin care so much about his opinion. When you meet a woman you like in the future, you won't need to be envious. Bai Yan also fell into a laughing fit. In her mind, she's also finding this situation hilarious because it's so unlike her to be concerned about a man's opinion. Showing a blank face, Emily Shang sounded doubtful. A woman I like? Will I really meet a woman like that? Of course, you silly. Enough. We spent so much time here already, so let's keep moving. I can see a small town up ahead. Let's rest there for a while before continuing our journey. I also want to inquire some news from the locals if possible. After saying this, Bai Yin didn't wait and began walking again. Unlike the rest of the domain where it's like hell itself, this town was bustling with life. Restaurants, tea houses, all the works with plenty of customers. Bai Yin and Emily Shang had taken a seat in one of these tea houses since it's the most likely establishment to gain information. Hey, did you hear about the incident that occurred at the monarch's residence? It's then a gossiping voice pulled the demon queen's attention. Looking over to that direction, she could see a man clad in green armor clamoring wildly at his audience. What incident? We know the monarch has sent out a lot of people for something, but no one knows what exactly. The one saying this was a big, burly man who had a long scar running down his face. Ho ho, this is something I overheard by accident as well. The man clad with green armor grins cheekily. The monarch is married. Did you all know that? Married? The sound of the whole tea house instantly evaporated, leaving the whole crowd popping their eyes in surprise. The monarch is married? The woman that is regarded as the goddess of this world is married? Who knows how many men would be dropping down and crying if this news is passed out. The news of the monarch's marriage isn't made public yet, but I do know something special. You know, the husband, the lucky guy, he's currently missing. The green-armored man continues to explain with a cocky grin. Why did the monarch's husband disappear? What exactly happened? Our location is too remote, so I guess none of you heard anything. But according to the rumors from the city, it's a woman who seduced the husband. Woman in white well, if that's the case, the woman is really a shameless vixen. Our monarch believes in one wife, one husband. As a result, many of us have changed our ways towards that thinking as well. If there is a third party, they will always be regarded as a family-ruining slut. The consequences are dire. I know, right? There's so many sluts out there that it's despicable. I really don't understand that guy. The monarch is so outstanding. What idiot would want to sneak a bite when they already have such a wonderful wife? Maybe it's because the monarch is too overwhelming. Perhaps a guy is too useless that he felt ashamed and needed to flex his muscle on another female. We all know how amazing the monarch is. Perhaps he just couldn't handle being dominated and being on the bottom of the bed. The voices of the crowd were slightly different in their views, but one thing's for certain, they all regarded the monarch of this domain highly. Even if the information was nothing but a rumor, they still believed it wholeheartedly. Yin Yin, do you want to go check out some other place? Emily Shang groans in boredom at the lack of information they wanted. I estimate we won't be getting any more from these people at this rate. Bai Yin didn't reply and stared at the arguing crowd. For some reason, she's got this sensation that she's missing something here. In this domain, there are very few individuals who can harm Di Tsang. I have a feeling my husband's disappearance is somehow related to this monarch, or at the very least, related to those who work under this woman. After spelling out her theory, Bai Yin tossed a couple of silver on the table and pulled the young lad away. But Yin Yin, do you know where the monarch's residence is? Emily Shang stood under the beaming sun and asked. Getting awkward, Yin muses over this issue for a good while. She didn't think about that earlier, so this left her in a dilemma. However, it's then a voice from the side that caused her to jerk in surprise. You two want to go to the Monarch Manor? Squinting her eyes into a slit over that sentence, she slowly turned towards the source and found a young lad with an unhealthy shade of white on his skin. You know where the Monarch Manor is? Though abrupt, Yin suddenly forms a marvelous smile like they're good friends. Lady, the Monarch's residence is a big secret in the Hell Domain. We've all seen the Monarch before, but few know where she lives. The unhealthy young guy chuckles creepily that would turn off any female, then staring down Yin like he sees a prize. However, I do know someone from the Monarch's residence. If Lady is willing to accompany me for a night, I promise to take you there. How about it? Woman in White 5. Everyone knew that the Monarch was magnificent, but the woman before himself was no loser either. That's right. In the eye of this pompous and idiotic man trying to hit on Yin, she was no more than a prostitute that he could sleep with by dangling carrot. Sadly for this depleted guy, his customary bullying around town was coming to an end today. His family wouldn't be able to protect him like in the past. Yin forked her finger at the man in a welcoming gesture, her eyes flirtatious and seductive. Come over here, and then we'll talk, good sir. Lady, does that mean a yes? Rubbing his hands together like a womanizer, the guy didn't think twice and gingerly stepped forward with drool leaking from that mouth. Suddenly, within 2 feet of each other, Yin raised her leg and directly kicked the guy between the crotch. A deathly wail howled into the air as a result of the damage. White and soul-wrenching, the guy squatted down on the spot and groaned in utter regret. He didn't understand what was going on, nor could he think of the reasoning for this. Slut, how dare you hit me? Do you know who I am? No one dares to touch me here. After a good minute of excruciating pain in his balls, the guy finally throws this out through gritted teeth. Yin ignored the young man's threat and kicked at his balls again, causing the guy to squirm in agony while the onlooking crowd flinched in horror. Make no mistake, the majority of the people watching are men, and any male could easily tell another their balls are the greatest weakness of a man. It's shocking to them that a beauty like this one would be so vicious. This woman, isn't she too cruel? That is the only son of the May household. If she ruins his manhood, that family won't let her go. Oh, he could have flirted with anyone, yet he chose Yin. Mo Li Shang was rather enjoying this moment as he watched the other guy with sympathetic eyes. He expected as much from the Demon Queen, and he's not disappointed. Slut! Climbing up with great difficulty, the young man stared Yin dead in the eye. My father won't let you get away with this. Pah! Without mercy, the Demon Queen grabs the guy by the collar and slaps him across the face. Showing a cold glow in her eyes, Yin's voice was cold and harsh. I will ask you only once, how do we get to the monarch's estate? Pay! The young man spat a mouthful of blood to the ground. I said so before. You only needed to accompany me for one night. Now, even if you sacrifice your life, I will still not tell you. When these last words were uttered, the young man's expression didn't back down and grew more fierce in his attitude. Won't say. Yin sneered and slapped him harder in the face again. Beaten to the point of his mind going blank, the pervert suddenly regretted his own decision of coming out today without an entourage. This was not his own wish, of course. He had been locked at home by his parents due to the heinous acts from before, hence the reason why he snuck out. But who could have guessed the moment he came out would be his own undoing? Slut, I dare you hit me again and see what will happen. The young guy shouts angrily after seeing the smirk on the woman's face. Since this is your request, then I will satisfy you. Slap, slap, slap. Yin's hand was merciless. In no time at all, countless hits were thrown down. Woman in White, 6. The young man's face had swollen into a pig's head by this point, leaving it difficult to recognize his original appearance. In fact, several of those teeth were gone, knocked out from the brutal ass slapping. I'll give you another chance. Where is the monarch's estate? The cold glow in Yin's eyes flickered, and her voice was unervingly calm. Groaning further and mumbling incoherent words due to the swollen face. The guy finally realizes he's in trouble now. Shuddering, he didn't dare meet the demon queen's gaze. But before a word could be uttered, another kick came down again and stomped onto his chest. Since you are so tough, then I will grant your wish. This time, Bayin did not give him another chance to speak anymore and hammered down a storm at the poor guy's face. Forget about swollen anymore. It's downright bloody and purple. Oh, I'll say he eagerly volunteers himself like an animal after getting hiatus from the tiny break. Go east, and you will find a forest. It's there that the monarch's estate is located. I don't know any more than that. He almost cried out in sobbing tears. If the guy had known Bayin to be so violent, he wouldn't have coveted after her beauty. Though difficult to make out, the words were nevertheless enough for the demon queen to make out. Raising a finger to lift the guy's chin so he looks upward. You didn't lie to me? No. The youth no longer had the stubbornness he had before, but instead carried panic in those eyes. He knew that this woman would surely beat him to death if he didn't say anything. Very good, but if I find out you're deceiving me, then I will make sure you die a death of rotting from the inside out. Bayin shot another cold, menacing glance at the young guy before turning around. Her every strike was thumping against the pervert's ear like she's some sort of grim reaper. Come Shang, we're leaving. Emoli Shang nodded and didn't hesitate in leaving. However, he also didn't forget to shoot a glance backward. It's just that, instead of the kind and innocent look he always showed to Bayin, his eyes were glowing weirdly with some dark sheen. Yin, do you think his words are true? He asks after catching up. It should be true, said Bayin with a raised eyebrow. I can't see any deception in those eyes he made. But if he is deceiving me, I won't let him go for sure. Once they were out of town, Yin, I need to go do my business. Emoli Shang suddenly stopped and said this with a red face. Though frowning at the interruption, Bayin sighs and nods. Then go quickly around the bush. I won't look. No, Emoli Shang's young handsome face had become a cherry pink. I need to find an outhouse, otherwise I can't go. Wait for me, Yin. I will be back soon. Without looking back for fear of the woman rejecting his request, he quickly ran in the opposite direction to head back into town. Back in the May household, the chief was entertaining some guests when his son was carried back in his deplorable state. Edge, who is it? Who injured you this badly? He rushed over in haste to help his son. He's furious, livid, even to the point where veins were popping out. Without ado, the story of what occurred on the street were explained in detail by the one who carried the young guy home. Emoli Shang acts, 1. My son is indeed wrong in hitting on her, but she's too vicious to use such a heavy-handed approach. The chief of the May house clenched his fists tightly and yelled in a loud voice. Someone come, send my son Edge back to his room, and invite Master Mei Luo over to treat him. I will personally go settle the score with that woman who dares to hurt my boy. As a father, there's no way this chief wouldn't know the crap his son has done and would do. Otherwise, he wouldn't have locked Edge inside the estate. But even so, such a beating was too harsh in his opinion. A little more, and his son would lose his life. Who are you looking for to settle the score? Then suddenly, a voice came from the front, and in came a young lad with a fair yet baby face. No one would take this matchup as dangerous. In fact, it's like a harmless animal that wants a cuddle. Who are you? What is the intention in coming to my May house? Yet, it's this exact person who gave the chief an incredibly dangerous feeling. The woman you're going to settle the score with, the teenager chuckles grimly, is my friend, so what do you think I'm here for? You? Chief May's eyes widened in shock. Somehow, a surge of panic swirled out from his heart at the teenager's voice. It's so innocent-sounding, yet the undertone felt more threatening than anything he's confronted in this life. You're here to avenge her? Chief May grits his teeth and attempts to stop that trembling body. She wasn't hurt in any way. Rather, it's my son who is injured. But aren't you going to look for her? How can I let you do that when I'm her friend? So, this town no longer needs a May house. After saying this, the teenager slowly raised his hand and materialized a burst of red flames that instantly encircled the entire estate. Nothing could leave or enter at this point. You want to destroy my May house? Chief Mei was furious. His son only said a few dirty words. He didn't even attempt to hurt the other party. How could someone be this unreasonable? Of course I do. There is no need for threats to exist, and you are a threat to her. Mo Lishang raised his chin high, those eyes looking down in contempt at the crumbled figure of the chief who was shaking uncontrollably. However, I will say this so you can move on without resentment. A child's fault lies in their parents' teaching. You did not educate your son well, which caused this disaster to occur in your household. Even if me and Yin Yin didn't come today, it would just be a matter of time before he offends another. By then, your Mei house would be destroyed regardless. Chief Mei's complexion first turned white, then to green in utter rage. Are you not afraid of retribution from the heavens? Mo Lishang's smile grew even broader. I am doing justice for eliminating evil. If there is a heaven, it won't punish me, only reward me. Moreover, it's worth it if it means going against the heavens for her. He gives a final glance around the estate, which has been engulfed in the fire by this point. Not only were the buildings burning, the people here were also crying as the fire caught onto their clothes due to the intensity. Taking this all in and understanding his work was done, Mo Lishang's figure disappears like a fluff of wind, leaving no traces of his presence ever being here. Chief Mei understood now after seeing this abrupt departure. The initial anger has been eclipsed by despair. There's nothing left. The burning of his home, the massacre of his people, they're all finished, and he too would be killed before long. Mo Lishang asks, too, you finish your business? Bai Yin raised her brows and smiled at the young lad. Uh-huh. Mo Lishang nodded after coming before the Demon Queen. I'm done using the outhouse. Yin Yin, we can go now. Bai Yan's gaze swept over the teenager's face, but she didn't say anything, nor did she ask anything. Her gaze looked at the sky not far away, and her eyes narrowed slightly. No matter how sinister this hell realm is, she will find him. Life and death are inseparable. Shifu, inside the monarch's manor, Mo Yin carefully came before the woman in white and spoke softly. Have you found him? The ruler of this domain eventually sets her sight on the student. What? Don't tell me you are really interested in him now. Are you that eager to see him again? Mo Yan's face instantly got white. No, I didn't. I'm just worried about you, Shifu. After all, you do like him so much. What if we can't find him? Wouldn't that make you sad, Shifu? The woman in white didn't hide her frosted glint in those eyes over that comment. If you know I like him, then why did you go see him in the first place? Yin, you know my character. I will never share a man with another. So, he can only be mine, understand? Mo Yin lowered her head in compliance, but the sadness in her heart could not be ignored. Sadly, this student also knew her Shifu's attitude towards sharing men. There's no way that could happen unless one side dies. Shifu, I understand. Mo Yin pursed her young lips. By the way, after that man woke up, he kept shouting the name Yenner. She did not dare to tell her Shifu that it was her who took the initiative to introduce herself. Yenner. The woman in white tightly furrowed her brows before loosening it again after a minute, sneering her mouth into a snarl. You don't have to care about this matter. You just need to know that he is my husband. Yenner? If I'm not wrong, the only thing that could make him remember was that woman. But this time, I won't let her succeed. Deetsong is going to be mine. Go down now, and you don't have to inquire about him anymore. When he returns, you stay away from him. The woman in white stared at her student and said it with a heavy emphasis on the last sentence. She's very serious and left no other way to interpret it. You should understand what I hate the most. I hope you won't become one of those husbands stealing women's. Otherwise, I won't know what I will do to you then. Mo Yin was shocked as she lowered her head in fear, meekly replying, Shifu, I would never dare, nor have I ever thought that way. My mistake before is only out of curiosity. Please do not think further about this subject. Now, that's a blatant lie. Mo Yan's heart was aching so much when she uttered those words that her face had slipped. Thankfully, that head was lowered, otherwise the woman would surely pick up on the change. Mo Lishang asks, 3. If there's nothing else, then go down. The woman in white obviously didn't want to say more to Mo-Xin Yin and dismissed her. Mo-Xin Yin could definitely hear the impatience within her Shifu's voice, so it frightened the girl. Opening her mouth, she wanted to speak up but found her throat croaking. Yes, Shifu. Giving one last defeated look, she turns away after realizing it's pointless. Just as Mo-Xin Yin was walking out to the backyard while kicking a stone, a troubled figure fell down in front of her from the tree up ahead. Naturally startled by the sudden entrance, the girl quickly takes a few steps back to gain some distance. She was confused initially, but that emotion promptly turned to anger as she shouted at the perpetrator. It's you again? How many times have I said not to appear before me, you dumb thing? Also, what are you even doing here? She really didn't know why her Shifu would take such a stupid woman as an adopted daughter. Thankfully, this dumb woman wasn't favored by the monarch. Otherwise, Mo-Xin Yin's mood would be dreadful and feel threatened. Sister Xin Yin, this is for you. The girl smiled goofily and offered a peach blossom with her hands. She's dirty in both the face and clothes, a stark contrast to the other lady's clean attire. Flowers for you, it fits you. Bang! Mo-Xin Yin directly slaps the peach blossom away in one swipe, causing the flower to drop to the ground in tatters. This instantly made the other side cry out and weep, which was justly expected when your kind gesture was slapped away without warning. I said so before, do not appear before me. Which part of that do you not understand? Look at yourself, all dirty and filthy. Which part of you look like a lady of the monarch manner? Anger continues to swell up from Mo-Xin Yin's eyes. If it weren't for Shifu's insistence on keeping you around, everyone would have kicked you out long ago so as not to embarrass us. The poor girl who's being verbally abused looked so wronged and aggrieved right now. She didn't understand why Mo-Xin Yin would be so angry when she didn't do anything. Pulling at the sleeve, she kept muttering an apology. Sister Xin Yin, please don't be angry at me. I know I'm wrong. Can you forgive me? Not only did this pitiful appearance not quench the fire inside, Mo-Xin Yin's anger only grew more to the point she's ready to erupt. Then, thinking of something sinister, she drops her usual kind and innocent facade to say something cruel. Let go of me. I don't want to see you. Shoving the other girl away, she didn't feel an ounce of remorse from her own actions because it caused the victim to scrape the hand and cause it to bleed. Sister Xin Yin, can you tell me what I did wrong? I only wanted to pick some flowers for you. I didn't mean to make you angry. Growling now, Mo-Xin Yin didn't hear a single word and walked over before leaning down to earshot. She's full of malice in her voice. You want to know what you did wrong? All right, I'll tell you. The fact that you're alive is what's wrong. You should be dead. You being alive is the biggest mistake. The poor girl widens her eyes into a dull look as the tears trickled down without effort. That remark was too hurtful no matter how lacking she was in the intellect department. Emoli Shang asks for, Mo-Xin Yin, what are you doing? Just as the cruel lady withdrew her head, an indifferent voice came from behind, startled her greatly. Stiff and rigid, she promptly came up with a scheme and reached out to help the other dirty girl up. Sister Heart, are you all right? You need to be more careful, otherwise you will fall down again when picking those flowers. Heart did not understand this abrupt change in attitude, so her face was left in a daze. Even so, she still accepted the gesture with her dirty hands. Naturally, Mo-Xin Yin felt disgusted at being dirted by the grime, but she forced the displeasure down and continued to smile as she turned to face the monarch. Shifu, how did you get here? Just now Sister Heart accidentally fell from the tree here, so I ran over to help. She spat out her tongue like an innocent good lady, an absolute contrast to the sinister self mere moments ago. Heart. The woman in white's gaze fell onto Heart's dirty figure. Are you Heart? Heart timidly took a couple of steps back under that stare, then speaking in a cautious voice to answer. Uh-huh. That brought a momentary trance to the monarch's mind. So Heart have already grown so big. When I brought her out from that time-diluted space, she was still a baby, and now she's already a teenager. No one knows this, but in reality, this Heart was in fact the monarch's biological daughter. The woman in white had been hurt when her confession failed. Out of depression, she got drunk and spent a night in the back mountain with that person, hence the creation of Heart. Since she never loved this child to begin with, the monarch did a cruel thing despite the child being her own. She tossed the baby into a time-frozen space of the domain. If she hadn't inadvertently passed through that area 10 years ago, Heart would still be in there frozen in time. To top things off on the list of being a cruel mother, Heart's mental level seems to have been damaged by spending so long in stasis. Her mind never grows, remaining at the level of a child. For that defect, the kind of love a lady of this house deserves never got rewarded and was forgotten until today. How did you become like this? The monarch sees the state of her daughter and asks with a faint softening of the heart. Her voice wasn't sharp, either, since this was her own child after all. Mo tensed up right there, and then, after hearing her Sherfu's concerned words, out of panic, she promptly spoke up to hide the mean things she's done over the years to Heart. For example, ordering the servants to ignore Heart and leave her to her own demise. Sherfu, I feel Sister Heart's condition is getting more and more serious. Whenever the maids tried to help her dress, she would always struggle and turn herself into this state. Why don't we call for a healer to examine her health? Emoli Shang acts 5. Is that so? The woman in white just stared at Mo Xinyan. It is not necessary to call someone. It's enough to let her live out the rest of her life like this. However, you need to have the maids pay closer attention. Don't let her fall into this filthy state again. After all, this girl wasn't born from her and Deetsong, so it's no wonder she wouldn't care about the child. Shame, though. The girl's birth father would never know of Heart's existence if this continues. Yes, sure, Fu. Mo Xinyan proudly raised the corner of her lips into a smirk. She's pleased to know her Sherfu doesn't care about Heart like always, meaning she could be more brazen in the future with her bullying. The woman in white paused when she walked by Heart's side, that voice turning softer as she commented, "Go back and freshen up as well. Do not stay at the front and stay in the backyard. If others see you, then it will be an inconvenience." Heart murmurs like a timid rabbit, her head hanging low and not daring to look up at her own mother. Although she wasn't the brightest head around, she could still hear and understand everything, including the disgust in her mother's voice. Don't worry, Sherfu. I will take good care of Sister Heart. I won't let anything bad happen to her and make sure she's well taken care of. Mo Xinyan smiled beautifully and said this from behind. That made the monarch stop in her footstep again. She could hear the meaning behind her student's tone, but in the end, the woman in white continued onward and abandoned her own flesh and blood in the rear. As soon as they were alone again, Mo Xinyan's expression instantly sank and returned to her ferocious self. I didn't expect Sherfu to remember you still after ignoring you for so many years. But don't get cocky. She is my Sherfu, not yours, understand? Heart dully raised her head, not understanding the sudden change in attitude. Did I do something wrong again? But I'll miss her too. She bit her lips in grievance and tried to defend her actions. Over the years, her mother had never come to see her, but that doesn't mean Heart never went to see the monarch. Though she's afraid, it doesn't change the longing for a mother. Mo Xinyan growled and reached over to pinch that arm, thus causing Heart to tear up from the pain. What are you missing my Sherfu for? You are just a dumb lass without any purpose to your own existence. Sherfu will not pay a single second of attention to you. If you dare appear before her again, then don't blame me for getting rough. I'm warning you. I won't hold back if I catch you. Mo Xinyan's angry glare was intense and threatening. Shrinking back into her timid form, Heart didn't dare to look up like before and grew quiet. Also, you are not allowed to tell others on how I treat you. Mo Xinyan narrows her eyes into a cold slit like a snake. Otherwise, you know what will happen then. I will not only beat you, I will drive you out of the estate so you can never appear before us again. You better behave yourself if you want to stay. Heart's body trembled a few times as she spoke with a shaky voice. Sister Xinyan, I'll be good. Please don't kick me out. Looking at the girl's panicked face, the vile girl finally smiled in satisfaction after getting her way. Mo Li Shang acts 6. As long as you listen to me, then I won't kick you out. On the contrary, if you go against me, then no one will tolerate you. MOXN, Yin finally turned and walked in the other direction, expression replaced by the innocent and kind facade she always used in public. The Monarch Manor lay at the heart of the endless forest. As per its name, it's endless with no indication of when the forestry would stop, nor does one know where the danger lurks from within. However, people are living in this region despite the risk. Right outside the forest's edge, there was a settlement called Endless City. Compared with the town just now, this place was bustling with life at every corner. At this moment, above the walls of the city gate, there are notices plastered along the surface. The painting on the notice depicted a handsome man of incredible magnitude, thus causing the readers to whisper in gossip. Yin Yin, this is Deet Song. Emily Shang got surprised by the picture and hurriedly dragged by Yin over to see. Naturally, the Demon Queen's face darkened into a grim look as the storm brewed within those eyes. Che, turns out the monarch's husband is like this, a candy boy that only knows how to use his face to win a woman's heart. Haha, why not? If you have a face like that, I'm sure the monarch will favor you too. But I have to say, the lad got some nerve, eloping with another woman when he's already married. By the way, how did you get word of the guy being the monarch's husband? As far as I know, the Monarch Manor has never announced this yet. You sure this guy is her husband? The entire Endless City is already talking about this topic. How can it be false? Besides, have you ever seen the monarch go to such lengths for a man? If he isn't her husband, then what else can it be? Emily Shang ripped one of the notices from the wall and eyed the wording for any clue. However, the murderous aura oozing out from the rear had swiftly broken his focus. Yin Yin, are you okay? He asked with a note of worry. Inhaling deeply to calm her rage, Bai Yin slowly formed a smirk at the audacity of these people. So that husband of the monarchs is Deet Song? It looks like another self-centered woman who only knows how to steal another woman's husband. I've seen enough to know what's going on by this point. It looks like I won't need to head into the endless forest anymore. Shang, let's go. Bai Yin turns away after giving another glance at the poster. Emily Shang didn't object and followed along. He doesn't know why, but his companion's aura made him quite nervous and antsy despite not being the target of her ire. From what I know about Deet Song, he can't possibly marry another woman. I know, Bai Yin dismisses the notion with a nod, and I also understand that no one can force my husband to do anything if he's unwilling to. Emily Shang was stunned. He didn't expect Bai Yin to trust that man so much. Encounter 1. Yin Yin, where are we going to find Deet Song now? Emily Shang groaned and asked. We wait. Bai Yin narrowed her eyes in to reveal a cold glint from within. News will come if those people do find Deet Song. There is bound to be a sensation at the Endless City, and by then we only need to follow those people. And she pauses to look up to the sky. I lost contact with Deet Songs after our bond shattered. The cause must be related to that monarch. She dares to hurt my husband, then she's going to pay the price. I'll accompany you. Emily Shang's expression was firm and unwavering. Whatever she's going to do, he'll stay with her. Let's find a place to rest, and then we'll search for more clues. Bai Yan's gaze lands on it and not far away. Let's go. Sunset. The afterglow of the setting sun envelopes the entire valley here, giving it a calm and tranquil sensation for the man sitting next to the ancient tree. His face was incredibly seductive under that shining luster. Yinner, suddenly, he shot his eyes open and rubbed that temple in pain. I still can't remember. I can't think of anything. How could I have forgotten her? She is the love of my life. The man slowly stood up and staggered forward using the tree trunk as support. I can't remember you, but I know. I will definitely find you. Even if it takes me to the end of the world, I will find you through heaven and hell. As long as he could meet her again, Deet Song was confident he could remember everything. Therefore, he won't give up on the search. The man's footsteps moved with weight in them, going deeper and deeper into this valley until that figure disappeared from view. Bai Yin had been recuperating her energy inside the room when a noisy sound from the first floor caught her attention. Here comes a monarch. It really is the monarch. She's finally visiting the city again. Hey, Do you think the monarch is more beautiful again? I can't get it past me, but she's absolutely dazzling today. I guess someone must have found the whereabouts of her husband. That's why she's out and about. Arg, don't mention it to me. Just thinking about that scumbag is making my mood foul. Such a wonderful woman like our monarch deserves better. Why is the world so unfair? Monarch? Bayan narrowed her eyes into a slit as she got up from the bed. Then, walking over to the window, she peered out to the street where everything was occurring. There are countless maids dressed in an emerald green color, following a single woman. This woman in white was of course the monarch in question, and her aura was beautiful and graceful to look at with a minor defect of being too cold on the face. But even so, there are no lacking of men screaming in joy at her entry. Encounter 2. It's unsure if Monarch Willow had sensed something, but the woman stopped and fixed her sight on the inn's open window. Their gazes met and caused a strange and uncomfortable stir within the monarch's heart. Monarch, what happened? One of the maids saw her mistress's strangeness and asked from one side. Flickering with coldness in those eyes, Willow withdrew her gaze and dismissed the discomfort. It's nothing. Let's keep walking. I don't know if it's my delusion, but why do I find that woman familiar? It can't be. Is she here? Willow's expression instantly got ugly over that idea. No, it can't be her. There's no way that woman can come to the Hell Domain. If she really did, she would have died under the obstacles I set beforehand. Yes, I'm just overthinking this. It's impossible. Inhaling deeply to calm her nerve, Willow casts one final glance at the window to find it already closed with the curtain. Yin Yin. Bayan had just withdrawn her gaze from the street when a knocking hit her door. Following another glance at the window, she turns and decides to open the door instead. Once unlocked, she got welcomed by the expected baby face of a young teen standing at the doorway. What's the matter, Shang Shang? I just wanted to see you. Emoli Shang's smile gradually grew more significant as his pupils landed on the open window behind the Demon Queen. Yin Yin, I just saw the monarch of the Hell Domain outside. I think she already knows where Deet Song is. Bayan slightly narrowed her eyes. Shang Shang is likely correct. That monarch wouldn't have left her abode unless there's news about Deet Song. However, it will become too obvious if we follow her too tightly. Once discovered, things will only get more complicated. I know. It's fine. We will wait here for now. No matter what happens, it will spread to the city. Afterward, we only need to go to Deet Song. Bayan smiled shallowly. In addition, I want to ask you to keep a close eye on the situation of this endless city. Once there is movement, come tell me. Okay. Emoli Shang didn't resist the idea and happily obliged the request. I will tell you the second I learn of anything new, so don't worry. Nothing will escape my ear. Bayan didn't doubt her friend's ability and lazily stretched her arms with a yawn. Then I'll leave things to you while I rest. Emoli Shang seems to have something else he wanted to speak about, but stopped right there. In his mind, that could wait if the Demon Queen needs to sleep. And as an attentive friend, he made sure to close the door behind himself when he went back downstairs. Emoli Shang, I hope you really won't betray me. Bayan stood inside the room in silence as she gazed at the closed door. She was deliberating whether to enact some insurance on this plan, since she knew the teen was hiding something from herself. In the end, she jumped out of the window and onto the street for where Willow had gone. Encounter 3. Inside a secluded valley, Willow and her confidants were standing atop an enormous boulder awaiting news from the scouts. Are you sure that someone has seen Deet Song in this place? A beautiful maid stepped forward, slowly spoke. Monarch, that person said he couldn't be wrong. He saw Deet Song walk into this valley with his own eyes. Good. Monarch Willow narrowed her eyes in and snickered a sneer. No matter where you go, Deet Song, I will have you. I wasn't able to have your heart in the past, but not anymore. This time around, you are mine and mine alone. She had already made Deet Song lose all his memories, so it's just a matter of time before she gets her way. Go in separate directions to find him. No one is allowed to disturb him upon discovery. Immediately return and inform me. Although he doesn't remember, his strength remains, and none of you are his opponent. Willow's expression remains cold and harsh, but there's an undeniable delight in those eyes. This was a precaution the monarch had to take. During their first encounter, she only made the Demon King unconscious after she trapped him. If the situation were anything else, she wouldn't hold a candle against that man. Yes, monarch. The maids exchanged an understanding look between themselves and scattered. Xiao Yun, am I not beautiful enough? She murmurs and asks her confidant. The maid known as Xiao Yun stood at a respectful distance and bowed her head. Monarch, your beauty is second to none in the domain. How can you think otherwise? Willow smiled bitterly and tickled her lips sarcastically. Then why won't he ever look at me? 10,000 years ago, it was the same. He won't even greet me when I'm the only one near him. Do you know why I despise men with multiple wives? Xiao Yun the maid didn't disturb her mistress, only standing there quietly to listen to the story. Because that man once said he will only marry one woman in his life. Willow gently lowered her eyes to let the gloom hover overhead. Back then, my father wanted to marry me to him. Originally, I disagreed and didn't want to, but my heart fell for him in the end. Then raising her head to meet the open sky, a range of old memories and emotions resurfaced due to the experience from 10,000 years ago. In those days, us females were nothing but objects used by the opposite sex to vent their sexual desires. We were tools, and I was no different. My father wanted to marry me to a man I never met or liked, but I resisted and failed. Then I finally met him on that fateful day. One glance, that's all it took for my heart to fall for him. Encounter 5. Hate you? Chewy God, why should I hate you? I have no love for you, so why would there be hate? Instead, I want to thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have found Deed Song and achieved the positive results we did. The man's stoic body stiffened into a rigid block. He would rather not hear that if possible. Hate meant they still had some sort of connection. Without that, what else did he have left? Nothing, that's what. There's nothing left for him. Bitterness spread from within Chu Egod's mouth, leaving him pained and hurt to the depths of his heart. Yinner, if I hadn't given up on you for the world, would you have become my wife? No. Bai Yin spelled this out in no uncertain terms to squash that idea. I would never have married you. Before, I was dependent on you and nothing more. That's not love. Love is what Deed Song and I have. He gave me happiness. He gave me his all. That is why I chose him. We share our all and nothing less. Showing a faint smile, Chu Egod expected this, but that didn't mean it wouldn't hurt. I thought as much. You asked me before on why Chu Yifeng looks so similar to me. Did you not? I can tell you. Bai Yin narrowed her eyes and locked onto that fairy-like face with a blank expression. So it's true he's related to you? Yes, said the man with a shallow smile that brought a breeze to those who saw him. He is the person I cultivated with my essence and soul. I couldn't leave the celestial realm at the time, so I sent him into the reincarnation cycle to find you. Unfortunately, I can never compare to him despite being his creator. That's right. His clone could stand by Yan's side, while he couldn't do at their lowest. In that respect, Chewy God was more of a failure than anyone in this world. Bai Yin clenched her fists into a ball as her breathing grew heavy. Then I want to ask another question. If no one helps Yifeng, will anything happen to his body? Nothing will happen. Chu God shakes his head indifferently. He is a complete person with his own thoughts. He may have been a clone of me from the beginning, but that's not true anymore. Whatever he does is his own choice. That's the result of him being reincarnated. However, part of my character remains with him. That is why he is destined to live his life alone. Bai Yan's heart shuddered over what the guy meant. Then, closing her eyes, a tinge of pain swirled within the Demon Queen's heart. Yifeng is doomed to live a life of solitude? Why is fate so unfair? You're in pain. Chu Egod didn't miss the change in her demeanor. Chu Yifeng is right, he and I. We're not the same. Not only did he make a different choice, his position in your heart. I am far worse than him. You will at least feel hurt when he's in trouble. At the end of the day, he not only lost to Deed Song, but also to another clone he himself created. Bai Yin lowered her head as the sadness gripped her soul. He originally didn't need to carry so much baggage. It was you who created him and gave him hope at a new life. It's also you who doomed him to a life of solitude. Indifferent and undazed, God didn't show any guilt. This is his destiny. Encounter 6 Fate. Bai sneered as she squinted her eyes slightly. God, he only has such a fate because of your doing. Even if you were the one who created him, it doesn't give you the right to decide his future. He has a soul of his own. He's different from you. Because of your selfishness in parting half of your love over, he's now in a situation where he cannot find love. It's unfair to him. Startled by the outrage, God became quiet when facing that cold and lecturing voice. Moreover, your feelings are nothing more than baggage to me. I don't need them. A viciousness filled by Yan's voice. From now on, do not follow me anymore. I don't want to see you. Do not follow me anymore. I don't want to see you. Those words were piercing, stabbing him in the heart like swords against a billboard. For a while, that stoic and enchanting figure of his appeared so lonely that it hurt. So that's it. What's there to hate if she never had any attachment left for me to begin with? God did not directly slay Azure Dragon and the other 3 sacred beasts in the past, but they did die because he participated in that war. Therefore, it's no wonder she would treat him this way. I still remember the first time I met you in this life. Xiachen was lying in a pool of his own blood, and you were pleading to me to save him along with breaking the bond you and Ditsong shared. God's indifferent expression fell into a trance like he's longing for the past again. At that time, I thought I would still have a chance as long as you didn't know anything. The second time we met, I helped Xiachen recover, and you hugged me excitedly for it. He faintly forms a smile that carries a hint of bittersweet flavor. That hug was what I waited for through the ages. But I forgot. As long as you set foot into the celestial realm, you are bound to remember everything. In the end, I will still not be able to stand by your side. If in a previous life, I chose you instead of the world, you would have been my wife for sure. Ditsong wouldn't have had the chance, and you wouldn't have recognized your heart for him. Like a fairy, God slowly stepped towards Bai Yin, his white hair fluttering against the breeze to give him a picturesque image. Yinner, I really want to be selfish, just this once, and snatch you away with these hands. But I also know you will never fall in love with me. I can't bear to hurt you. He raises his hand to gently stroke the woman's head. This gesture was something he often did a millennium ago. Back then, the young little girl often smiled at him and snuggled that head in his arms like a docile kitty looking for comfort. But now, seeing that his hand was about to touch her hair, Bai Yin subconsciously turned away and dodged the gesture. For a long time, Gods froze there, his hand hanging in the air like a lost soul unsure of what to do. In the end, he sighed and dropped his foolish act. Yinner, all I hope for is your happiness now. That's all I need. Bai Yin smiled over that remark, but her smile wasn't for him. As long as Ditsong is by my side, then I will be very happy. God's thin lips stammered for a response. However, he couldn't come up with a good reply to that sentence. In the end, he changes the topic because it hurts. I came to you this time because I have something to warn you about. Be careful of that Mo Li Shang. His indifferent voice drifted like the wind into Bai Yan's ears, which caused the demon queen to furrow her brow slightly. Ditsong's whereabout when you probably also noticed the problem with that guy. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come out alone without him. God's gaze fell on Bai Yan's body, his voice sounding indifferent as usual, but with frustration in the undertone. It's my business, and it has nothing to do with you. Bai Yin took all her attention back and waved the warning off. The man fell hurt at being dismissed like a stranger. Yinner, do I not even have the qualifications to be a friend anymore? If I didn't remember anything, perhaps. I won't do this. Bai Yan's eyes contained a cold glow. God, that nightmarish loop I experienced allowed me to remember everything. Although I don't hate you, but how do you expect me to forgive you? How do you expect me to forgive you? God's heart felt like it was being sliced by a knife into multiple pieces, causing him to wrinkle up that face into a frown. He was just about to continue saying something when Bai Yin shuts him down by turning away. I don't have anything left to say to you. Don't appear before me again in this life. You go your way, and I go my way. I hope we never meet again. After throwing down these words, Bayan's figure immediately flew off in pursuit of Monarch Willow. Depressing and hollow, the man stood alone under the wilting tree as the dead leaves blew around in the background. He couldn't move, not after that last sentence he's just heard. The valley here had a lot of fog, giving it a surreal atmosphere that one would expect of an area untouched by humanity. Right now, Deetsong's body was sitting up against a tree while he made a pained face due to the missing memory in his head. He's trying so hard to remember, but all that came of his efforts were the fleeting contour of a beautiful face that he couldn't make out. Aside from that, there's only a stinging pain rubbing against his temple. "Are you okay?" It's then a delicate voice came from the front and caused the Demon King to wrinkle his face. Mo Xianyan's heart got filled with joy after finding Deetsong in this spot. She's overheard her Shifu coming here with news of this man and came of her own volition. Just that, the girl never expected to be so lucky and hit the jackpot. See, despite forgetting everything, you still remember the name Yenner. And, as it so happens, I'm also called Yenner by those close to me. This is fate, do you understand? There are so many people looking for you right now, yet it's I who found you. That means something. Mo Xianyan's demeanor had transformed into an innocent maiden that had just met her crush. Scram,